If you've ever been relieved to see some green arrows in the morning, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook here on Tuesday, April 8th, where finally it looks like we're getting some relief from all of the down move. We'll see how long it lasts. It's a T3 Tuesday. No Anne Marie today, but we got plenty of stuff to go through. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope you all had a wonderful Monday evening, and congratulations to the Florida Gators for winning the college men's basketball national championship. Unfortunately, the bracket that I had picking Florida finished 9th, so I finished out of the money. Duke was the only chance that I had. Congratulations to the Florida Gators. My dad went to school there. Rest in peace. Really, really good stuff. So congrats to all of those kids. It was a fun game. But we got market stuff to deal with here today. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Pete, locked in, ready to go as usual. Let's go. Good morning, boss. Paul, good morning. Jim, good morning. Peter, good morning. Hellcat, good morning. Sun-kissed Yogi, good morning. Cam says the green has returned. Is it temporary? That's what we're going to find out here today. Good morning, Cam. Kayla, good morning. Allsorts, morning and looking forward to a terrific Tuesday. Notice that you said terrific, not terrific. Let's go, Allsorts. Good morning. Terlingua, good morning. Artisan Custom Homes, good morning. Producer, locked in as usual. Top of the morning to you. If I had a top hat, I would tip it, but I don't. Tyler, good morning. It's good to see it. Crash or rip today? Tyler, you are asking the $64,000 questions early. That's what we're going to go. I would suggest just right off the top here, I'd be ready for both, but we'll talk about that here. We'll break it down. Ivan, good morning. Matthew, good morning. What false headline is going to help us today? Matthew, we have no idea the headlines that are coming out, but we're going to play the hand that gets dealt to us. Ashok, good morning. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Dermog, good morning. Day Trader, good morning. STFU, good morning. Topher, good morning. Quantum, good morning. Ed, good morning. White Chocolate Mocha, locked in. Let's go. And Cam, thank you. Go Gators. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the market because, like I said, we have green arrows across the board here. S&P futures up 2.55%, actually ticking up here in the recent couple of minutes. Scott Bessent was on earlier, didn't say anything that we didn't know. Nothing blew up, and it looks like the market is trying to bounce higher here. This is, of course, after some very steep declines. We start here on the daily chart to get an idea of what took place here. Huge move down in very, very short amount of time. The elevator down, literally by definition here, went right to the 20% pullback level. Actually, shout out to our happy hour veteran, Andy, who called 480. If you recall, yesterday in the pre-market, and those pre-market lows or the overnight lows, we printed 479 on the SPY and some change. So we actually did bounce off that level, although it took place in an extended session, not in the regular session. So huge pullback here. We currently find ourselves sitting above the 500-day moving average. That value is 509.05. We're currently sitting here at 517. So we're almost 10 full points above that level. We'll see if we can hold that today. As far as upside levels here, the 15% pullback levels there at 521.25. We'll see if we can actually recapture that. One thing that I would note is that this level that we're looking at here, it is based off of the drawdown from the all-time high. So unlike a moving average, it might not provide the same type of support or resistance. But if we do look back here to April of 2024, it did look like we found some resistance at this area. So if we do trade back above this today, I want to see if there's anything stopping us or if we kind of blow right through this. And the reason for that is because we have a pretty significant gap above here. So if we're able to move above 521 and then maybe take out the high of the candle here from Friday, April 4th, that high there is going to be 525.87. I think we have a potential gap fill up here to 536. Now, I don't want to make any proclamations on, hey, this is for sure going to happen. If this happens, we are in uncharted territory. You folks don't need me to tell you that. And also, we're very, very clearly at risk of headlines. We saw this yesterday. The one thing that I do want to reiterate from yesterday is one of the things that I had said is that it really felt like the market was looking for a reason to bounce. Maybe the tariff stuff isn't over, and we'll play that as we're given more information on that. I'm not going to make a proclamation on that either. But what we saw yesterday was that this market is absolutely looking for a reason to bounce. And although the headline fiasco passed, we did end up kind of grinding higher, although we didn't take out the high of that impulse move. We'll see if we do that here today. Which brings me to my next spot. If we take a look at the intraday chart here, you can see what that spike actually did. We did move up to that 15% pullback level and cross above it, but we couldn't hold there. So now we're actually drifting higher here in the pre-market. I'd look for that 521.25 spot. Let's see if we can get above that and build. You guys are all asking the right questions here. Do we actually give these gains up? And I'm not going to make a promise there either. We easily could give these gains up, especially if we get unfriendly headlines out there. So, okay, let's break down some of the headlines that are affecting the market here today. This is the outlook here on the SPY. I'm sure we're going to be paying attention to this. Also, as a note here, I did exactly what I told you folks yesterday. I said I was going to be very tactical. I was going to wait out the morning. TQQQ ended up giving a really good play. The only thing I played short term yesterday, the only thing I played were the ETFs. I did not dive into any of the, crap movers or whatever we call them, the little guys. I pretty much just stuck with some of the ETFs. And then I can't even believe I was able to do this, but I got a fill at SOXL near the close at 9:15. So I actually carried a little bit of the semiconductor ETF into today, and that is actually up here today. So I'll be looking to close that out depending on how this reacts here today. The big thing is that if we keep bouncing, one of the things that I'd like to kind of get from the group here is where do we think this bounce stops? I just kind of outlined two of the levels above, the 15% pullback level there at 521, the top of the candle here from Friday, and then the potential gap. If we do keep bouncing here, where do you think we bounce to? Do you think that this is a multi-day bounce, or do you think we give it up here today? That's one of the things that we're going to be watching. As far as the SOXL trade goes, now that I'm in the green here, there's just no way I'm going to give it back. If it comes back in, I'll just book the gains and wait for another setup. So that's pretty much all I'm at with where the positions that I'm carrying into today. Let's go ahead and move through some of the news here that is affecting the market here today. We'll bring you up to speed with that. What time is it? 7 after 8. We do have the T3 Tuesday here coming up, so I'll bring Adam Mesh on and we can ask him what he's trading here. But let's get to some of the news here. China resolutely opposes Trump's 50% tariff threat, vows countermeasures as trade tensions jolt markets. Quote, "We will fight to the end," end quote. It reminds me of the Sauron from Lord of the Rings saying, "They chose death." We'll see how it shakes out here, though. China's Commerce Ministry, easy for me to say, resolutely opposes U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to impose additional 50% duties on Chinese imports and vowed to take countermeasures to protect its interests, intensifying trade tensions that have already triggered market turmoil. The strong response came after Trump announced he would implement higher tariffs if Beijing doesn't withdraw the 34% retaliatory duty that they slapped on yesterday. It placed it placed on American products last week, Trump set the April 8th deadline for China to reverse its position. That day is today. The U.S. threat to escalate tariffs on China is a mistake on top of a mistake, the Commerce Ministry said in a statement translated by CNBC. Quote, "China will never accept it. If the U.S. insists on its own way, China will fight to the end," end quote. Besant was on this morning. One of the things he did say about this is that he's disappointed because China's playing with a losing hand. So it doesn't look like, at least at this point, any side is going to back down here. Excuse me. Market does not seem to care about that, at least not this early. We'll see if that changes here. Larry Fink rejected suggestions that tariffs only impact Wall Street, telling the Economic Club of New York that 62% of Americans now invest in equities. The market impact is affecting Main Street. He warned that tariffs would, quote, "freeze more and more consumption in the broader economy." Now, this is on the backdrop of consumption maybe coming in, spending maybe coming in, the consumer kind of doing that anyway. So we'll see here if Larry Fink gets what he's talking about here. The dispute has particularly threatened technology stocks. Wedbush Securities analyst Dan Ives, who, by the way, cheerled the entire move up in tech, predicted U.S. tech companies U.S. tech company earnings could decline by 15%. Again, none of this is new. We anticipated that for several quarters at this point. We've actually been seeing that play out here. The tariffs proceed as planned, with consumer electronic prices potentially rising 40 to 50%. Quote, we assume tariff negotiations will start now. Otherwise, dark days are ahead for tech. And the U.S. consumer pays the price, Ives wrote. So a traditional Wall Street bull here saying, using the quote, dark days could be ahead here. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has expressed concern over the quote, unexpected size of Trump's tariffs, warning they would likely drive inflation while slowing economic growth. JP Morgan, on the back of this, increased its recession forecast to 60% probability by year end. So that's kind of what's going on with China here. Again, maybe this will take hold here today, but so far here in the pre-market, we're actually on the next leg up here. Does not seem to be adversely affecting the market. Again, I'm not really sure how much new news we had here. We kind of heard about the retaliation yesterday, and nothing has really changed here. Dr. Doom Rubini warns markets, quote, delusional about Fed rescue as Trump, Xi Jinping, and Jerome Powell are locked in a high-stakes standoff. Renowned economist Nouriel Rubini, gosh, I hope I got that name correct, nicknamed Dr. Doom for his pessimistic but often accurate predictions, warned Monday that financial markets are mistaken about the Federal Reserve's willingness to step in amid escalating trade tensions. You know, we've talked a lot about this. Is there a Trump put? Is there a Fed put? Is Trump forcing the hand of the Fed? Still looks like that game of chicken, or that game of standoff, if you will, is still going on. Quote, markets have been delusional that Powell put strike price is above the Trump's put strike price. It is not, in all capital letters. Rubini wrote on X, referring to the price level at which the Fed would intervene to stabilize markets. The Turkish-born American economist describes a three-way game of chicken between President Trump, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, and Chinese President Xi Jinping, with each waiting for others to concede first. And like we've seen from the rhetoric here, it doesn't look like either side is even close to conceding. We'll see if that changes here. The comments come as markets grapple with Trump's tariff threats against China, including potential 50% duty if Beijing doesn't withdraw its 34%. That's a total duty of 104%, if you're keeping track at home, that the U.S. is looking to place on Chinese goods. China's Commerce Ministry vowed to, quote, fight to the end. And so, again, we'll see how this ends up shaking out here. We'll see if we get any type of turmoil here. We can also check on Chinese stocks here today, and just to see what might be in play here today. Another piece of news, and actually we're going to start with the chart here on this one. Let me go back to it. We're going to talk about Broadcom because they also made some news. Now, Broadcom, one of the stocks that is following this tech bounce back here a little bit. You can see Broadcom really came in towards that 500-day moving average at 135.20. We've since bounced off of that. Here we are, 165. You can see there's a pretty good bounce back here on Broadcom, up 7.38% here in the pre-market. Now, what is the news here on Broadcom, you ask? Well, I'm glad that you asked. Broadcom stock jumps on a $10 billion buyback authorization. We got this news in the after hours yesterday. Broadcom shares are rising Monday in the after hour session as the company announced a $10 billion buyback. After the market closed, Broadcom announced its board will authorize a new share repurchase program, allowing the company to repurchase up to $10 billion of its common stock throughout the end of the year. Quote, today's announcement of a $10 billion share repurchase program reflects the board's confidence in the strength of Broadcom's diversified semiconductor and infrastructure software product franchises, said Hock Tan, president and CEO of Broadcom. So I'm going to pause right here because one of the things that we've been talking about and looking at with some of these semiconductors are what is an actual fair price to earnings multiple on some of these. Traditionally, semiconductors are much lower. Obviously, the AI boom here is likely to change that. So I'd like to turn that question to the group. At what PE level are you interested in some of these semiconductors? We've had a huge pullback. NASDAQ has led the way down. We've seen a huge rotation out of some of these big cap tech names like Broadcom and NVIDIA, and to a different degree here, Apple and all of that. So my question is if you are taking a long-term approach, or if you're looking to add quality semiconductor companies to your portfolio for the long term, what level are you looking at for that? And does any of this news change anything? Does the recent move down, the news on top of that move, the bounce? How are you looking at all of that? Hock Tan goes on to say, in particular, we are uniquely positioned in mission-critical infrastructure software and enabling hyperscalers to drive innovation in generative AI into their expanding subscriber platform. So this actually, one of my favorite things, not necessarily a direct pick on a direct company, but instead kind of a thing behind the thing here for Broadcom, for the AI boom that's going on here. Broadcom said the repurchase authorization also reflects the board's confidence in the company's strong cash flow generation. So another thing that we have talked about is in the upcoming earnings here, what are CEOs going to say? How can they guide with the uncertainty with tariffs and all of that? What is that actually going to mean for earnings? Are we going to see misses? Are we going to see poor earnings estimates? Are we going to see lowered guidance for quarters ahead? It looks like Broadcom here already kind of looking at that and saying, you know, our cash flow generation looks strong. So I'm just more curious to see how some of these earnings reports happen when they happen next. Last quarter, Broadcom generated $6.11 billion in cash from operations and $6.01 billion in free cash flow as AI revenue jumped 77% year over year. The company ended its first quarter with approximately $9.31 billion in cash and equivalents. So Broadcom here seeing a nice little pop post the share buyback. An interesting time to kind of release that share buyback, or excuse me, authorize that share buyback. It'll be interesting to see if they do buy shares and if that puts in any type of floor for Broadcom. Let me know if you do like Broadcom as a trade. Okay. Next here, we're actually going to do the same thing. We're going to start with the chart. So let me go ahead and load that up. Oh, I got to share the right screen here. Sorry about that. We're going to talk about Apple. Apple here, another huge decline, just like we've seen in a lot of these different tech names. Of course, the other thing with Apple here is they make phones in China. They sell a lot in China, and we're unsure about the future of that, given the trade spat that's going on right here. So Apple, as a result, is showing some weakness on that. Now, Apple has come, we've recently broke that 500-day. We've come all the way back in, almost tried to test this 160, 165 support area. Really, really strong here. Now, Apple is bouncing, so we're 20 points above that here at 185.5. We'll see if Apple can actually get rolling here today. And we'll see if there's any other news that comes out here on Apple. The one thing I wanted to draw your attention to is we're actually still oversold by most of these metrics here on Apple. So part of me wonders if we're going to see kind of an extended bounce as opposed to just a reflexive bounce overnight. Apple might tell the story there, especially with its connections to China. So that's kind of what's going on with Apple. Let's take a look at the story here. Apple reportedly plans to move more iPhone production to India amid Trump's tariff fears. Could this solve the potential 40% price hike? So I was just saying here, I'm not sure how all of this stuff is going to play out. It would be stupid of me to say that I know what the administration is going to do and I know how this is all going to end. Clearly, I don't. The one thing I will say here is that there's no way Apple is going to put a 40% price increase on the iPhone. I've been reading all about this. I understand why people are saying that. I understand how they're giving the calculations. I don't think those people are stupid or anything. I just don't think this is how it's going to materialize. So I'll make that call here today. But nonetheless, with the story here, Apple is reportedly shifting more of its iPhone production to India to mitigate the financial impact of President Donald Trump's escalating tariffs on Chinese goods. We pause right there. Apple, I think, sees the forest through the trees here and realizes that a lot of these tariffs are centered around making things fair with China. That is to say, it does seem to me, and I think the market is kind of telling you this too, that this entire spat, although it's going to affect multiple countries, the real main aggressor here is China. And just, it seems to me that Apple's executive team knows that. I'm speculating. That's just kind of my own opinion, but that's what I gather from what's going on here. Apple plans to ship more iPhones from India to the U.S. to avoid the high cost caused by the new tariffs on Chinese-made products, reported the Wall Street Journal, citing people familiar with the matter. The move comes after Trump's new tariff packages raises duties on China to at least 54%. Of course, we're also talking about another 50% on top of that to get to the 104 figure. The tariff on Chinese goods could increase Apple's hardware costs for an iPhone 16 Pro by around $300. The iPhone 16 Pro Max, currently at $1,600, might reach nearly $2,300 with a 3% price hike. Again, right there, I'm going to make my call. That is not going to happen no matter what Apple ends up doing here. We'll see if I'm right or if I'm wrong about that. Easy for me to make that call. I use a Samsung phone. And in fact, for the Galaxy S25, with the recent deal that I got on it from the manufacturer, shout out to one of my buddies who gave me an enormous heads up on that. I paid $650 for the brand new piece of technology, and I financed it at 0% interest. So I think that the company knows here that trying to, even with the brand loyalty and the ecosystem that is so cherished by Apple users, I don't think a $2,300 price phone is going to be palatable. Now, I do know there's a lot of kind of fringe talk here from guys like Joe Rogan, who obviously money doesn't matter to him. He has said for months that, hey, if Apple made a phone here in the U.S., made by U.S. workers that were treated fairly with a fair wage, he'd have no problem paying for it. That's great to hear, and that's great of him personally. I don't think that thought is scalable at all. We'll see if there's something that happens there. I just don't think that that's realistic, even a little bit. We'll see. We'll see how it shakes out here. Bank of America analyst Wamsi Mohan notes that Apple was already on track, to manufacture 25 million iPhones in India this year, with about 10 million intended for the local Indian market. If Apple redirects the production units to the US, it could supply up to 50% of the American market's demand for the device. So very clearly they're showing you that even if they do this, it's not going to be able to meet that demand. Maybe that iPhone will be harder to get. The iPhone is Apple's flagship product, accounting for roughly half of the company's total revenue. In the first quarter, iPhone sales came in at $69.14 billion, down from $69.7 billion in the same period last year. God, this company is such a monster. Apple has been working to expand its manufacturing footprint in India for several years, starting with older models and gradually incorporating newer ones. While India's tariffs are more favorable than China's, Apple's primary manufacturing base remains in China due to the country's robust supplier network and skilled labor force. Remember, going back to the news cycle from yesterday, we did hear that India was one of the countries already at the negotiating table and looking to remove all tariff barriers. I got to think that the Apple team is looking at stuff like that and following those developments. Although Apple has made an effort to diversify its supply chain with additional production in India and other countries like Vietnam, Trump's new tariffs continue to challenge the company's ability to maintain competitive pricing. Apple stock has dropped approximately 25.59% so far this year, closing at 181.46 on Monday. The follow-up question that I have here for the group, we talk a lot about Apple. I know a lot of folks use Apple products. In my opinion, the strongest company in the world. What do you guys think about Apple? What level, guys and gals, I beg your pardon, what level is Apple interesting to you for a potential trade and or for a long-term ad here? Maybe some of you are already trading Apple here or traded this on the bounce as we're seeing a 2.5% move higher here. But let me know, what level do you like here for Apple? The next one that I'm kind of looking at here is going to be this 160 to 165 area. I really think that if Apple continues to sell off here, we might see another bounce from this area. We're really not that far away, pretty much only 20 points ahead of that. Or 20 points higher than that. So let me know here what you think here on Apple. Okay, let me go back here. You guys are absolutely crushing the chat here this morning. Let me just roll through some of these while we wait here for Adam. Real quick here. Ryan, Big Bees is asking if I played FAS. No, I didn't. And you know what, Big Bees, using hindsight, I'm trying not to be a victim of hindsight, but using hindsight here, realistically, I know we talked about this one on Happy Hour. This one was just an absolute monster trade for anyone that day traded this. But the reality here, as I told you guys yesterday, I was going to be waiting out the first part of the market. that was really where the FAS ad was, right? As soon as this thing dipped, buyers really took control pretty early on. I had already made the decision at that point not to trade, so this was pretty much off my radar. I wasn't going to be able to hit this. However, this was actually discussed in our happy hour group. This was a really, really good trade. We did have several members that were trading this yesterday. I think like 10 plus points on this move higher here. So this is the direction levered financial bull ETF, had an absolutely monster move. No, Big B's, I did not play that. Financials here taking off this morning. They are higher here in the pre-market. Okay. Gatekeeper says China doesn't seem to be backing down anytime soon. Indeed. We've seen no evidence of that so far, nor have we seen evidence of the other side backing down either. So we'll see again how it shakes out. Blaze Rhino says tariff jousting. Yeah, I'm with you there. Okay. Chris is excited for Masters Week. Yeah, Chris, me too. You know, we got this extremely busy market week here on Masters Week. Seems like it is meant to be, if you will. We'll see how busy people are on Thursday, how many people are actually watching it. Okay. Craig saying insurers upped an increase in Medicare funding news for CVS, UNH, and Humana, the largest percentages. That's another piece of news here. I didn't actually have a story for this. We did see this in the after hours yesterday. Shares of health insurers are trading higher following a Wall Street Journal report indicating the Trump administration will increase Medicare Advantage rates. You're seeing a pop across all of those, Humana, UNH. In fact, they're all listed here in the news article for any of you that want more of that. We've got CNC, CVS, ELV, HUM, and UNH. All of these here popping, some of them close to double digits up here in the pre-market here today. So looks like this sector here rolling pretty good on that piece of news. Thanks, Craig. I actually did not have an article highlighted for that, but we were going to talk about that here. So we might as well just go ahead and do that. Tyler wants to take a look at Google. Let me go ahead and add that to the list. We should absolutely take a look at Google here today. I know we've actually been kind of talking and trading Google recently on the back of all of this stuff. We'll absolutely do that again. Sideshow Yakshamash, it's great to see you here today. Big B's, Micron has a PEO of about 16. Apple, unfortunately, Pete saying Apple, unfortunately, has arguably some of the worst exposure to the Chinese tariffs. Indeed. And that's actually why we're seeing it be a little bit weaker than some of these other names here. What else? The key to cheap products in the country prior to exploiting the Chinese worker was cheap energy. Actually, energy prices are continuing to come down here, Chris. I need to do that, Ryan. I love Samsung and still use the Galaxy 7, so it's time to upgrade. Brandy, so I think this was on the comment of me buying the S25. Again, I didn't even know about this. This was news to me. One of my buddies had reached out to me and said, hey, Ryan, just FYI, Samsung, the actual manufacturer, is having their Samsung Week where they do sales, apparently. Again, I had no idea that this was even a thing. And I started looking at the deals and I was like, my God, these are actually better than what I get from Verizon, who my carrier is. The phone's actually cheaper. So you're telling me that I can finance the phone at 0% interest, get the new device, and pay less monthly? I mean, to me, that was a trifecta. So, Brandy, that's actually the reason I did it. There was nothing necessarily wrong with my S23. I am kind of on the cycle of upgrading every 2 years. So when I saw this deal, it was pretty much a no-brainer. And again, shout out to my buddy who brought this to my attention. I think waiting for some of these deals always the right move here. Okay. 9, I've been holding Apple for like 10 years. Yeah, I've been holding Apple since 2014. So what am I going on 11 years here? That's why my cost basis is down in the 20s, because it's split twice since I first bought that. So I'm with you on that one. It's been great. It's been great for that. It's also been great for my mother, who's retired now. So that's really awesome. Allsorts wants to take a look at Intel. Yes, absolutely. If Apple bounces back, do you think that would give a bump to Skyworks Solutions, who provides some of the components there? Steve, great question here. I would say that my knee-jerk reaction to this would be yes. It probably would give a bounce to Skyworks. We've seen those trade in tandem before. That might be something to look at. What I always get that ticker mixed up. SKWS? No. SWKS? Skyworks Solutions, SWKS. So here we go. Here is your Skyworks Solutions. This might be a potential bounce play. It looks like it's only up 1.3% here in the pre-market. Also might be worth kind of digging into some of the supply chains here for Skyworks. I don't know them off the top of my head, but that's a really good thought here, Steve. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. Okay. Guilty Gunner says the bottom is in, baby. Let's go. Maybe it is. If that's the case, and we get a pretty nice V bounce here, that should be pretty good. But I'm not ready to say, all right, time to fire the cannon of cash here. It's Bull City. There's still some uncertainty out there in the macro picture, and I think it would be, if you want to take a stab at it for a trade, that's one thing. But I think to not factor that into any of your risk assessment would be a misstep. And so I don't think I'm ready to do that here yet. We'll see when we end up getting there. Okay, you guys did not disappoint here today. Absolutely awesome stuff. You're welcome, Brandy. Good morning, Rustam. It's great to see you. You want to take a look at NEO? We can absolutely do that. Okay, that does that. One more thing that I wanted to go here. I did want to touch a little bit on crypto. We can actually start with the crypto chart here for Bitcoin. Here it is. So again, kind of traded down towards, looks like the low here of this candle, low print on that pull, 74,409. On Bitcoin. My open order at 70K is still there. It is unchanged. And it does look like we're kind of just in this channel here. I know this channel was a makeshift creation from two different trend lines that basically made a parallel channel or close to it. Sure looks to me like this is going to bounce with the rest of the market. One of the levels that I'd be looking at here is probably going to be this 84,000 level, right? If we can get above that and close it, we pretty much delete this entire candle here. And I think that would actually set up for Bitcoin, because what we'd have above that are going to be two of these moving averages and the resistance/support area that we have identified going back to last year. Now, that being said, as we covered yesterday, Bitcoin death crossed here on Sunday. So the result of this is that this is likely to trade lower, especially if it follows the chart pattern here. I would not be shocked if this is not over. I gave you a couple of different traders who had predicted 60 to 65K as the Bitcoin bottom. Several people predicted 70K as the Bitcoin bottom. So I'm not necessarily sure that we're done here with the move down. I think this is just kind of a relief rally, and I suspect that Bitcoin will trade in the same manner that the regular market trades. So this is just kind of a start here with the Bitcoin chart. Let's take a look at the story here. Bitcoin, Dogecoin gain, Ethereum dips as Trump remains defiant on tariff push. Analyst anticipates, quote, immediate bullish explosion in crypto if this happens. Let's dive right in. Leading cryptocurrencies eked out gains on Monday, even as President Trump denied any plans of pausing tariffs amid the market rout. Bitcoin rose to an intraday high of 81,000 before stabilizing in the 79K zone. Ethereum fluctuated between 15 and 1,600 a day after experiencing its worst drop since October of 2023. The capital rotation from altcoins to Bitcoin continued as the apex cryptocurrency's market dominance rose to 62.7%, the highest since January of 2021. Prolific Bitcoin hoarder strategy. Where's Jay Diamond here this morning? Where is Jay Diamond here this morning? Got to know. The prolific Bitcoin hoarder strategy paused purchases last week, citing a lack of participation in its equity issuance program. Nearly 973 million was liquidated from the market in the last 24 hours, with 632 million in longs erased. Bitcoin, I almost called it British. Wow. Bitcoin's open interest fell 3.63% in the last 24 hours. A drop in open interest coming alongside a rise in prices indicated the closing out of short positions. There we go. Day trader here. Love this. I added more Bitcoin yesterday in the 77s. Absolutely love it here. You look to be doing pretty good on that buy here, just around 80K. We'll see if Bitcoin can get above and close above 80K here today. Moreover, Bitcoin's long-short ratio rose above 1, suggesting that the majority of traders were betting on Bitcoin's price increase. That would make sense given the action that we saw yesterday. The market sentiment remained in extreme fear mode, according to the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. The global cryptocurrency market cap stood at 2.52 trillion, marking a 1.75% increase in the last 24 hours. Here, I wanted to get to these analyst notes here. Popular blockchain analyst firm CryptoQuant highlighted that most of Ethereum holders were in losses as the price has dipped below 2,200, the average cost basis. Quote, the next major support level is around 1,290, average cost basis of whales holding over 100,000 Ethereum. crypto quant added. So let me know what you folks here on, or what you folks think here on crypto. Day trader, it looks like you're already long. You absolutely love to see it here. Hopefully you bank on that trade. Okay, let me go back to the chart here real quick. Go back to my main chart. It is slightly past 8:30, and so you know what that means, folks. It is guest time. Let's welcome Adam Mesh from T3 to the show. All right, Adam, I played the wrong little clip there, but we're going to keep it rolling here. Happy Tuesday. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Look, we're doing a good job here amongst the tariff tantrum, if that's what you want to call it. A lot of volatility, a lot of different things to play, seeing a lot of opportunity here in a huge bounce. Currently, where do you stand with this whole thing? What are you looking at stock-wise and play-wise here?
I actually could use a little help from you in the audience.
Oh, how about that? All right, folks, let's help Adam out. What can we help you with?
This is, listen, I'm not a fundamental guy. I know you're not either. We trade momentum. We ride what's hot. I get it. I mean, I put extra money in my account. When the markets go down like this, I get excited. I'm looking for a huge opportunity. Yesterday, I was trading, and I was probably down 12 or 13,000 when that fake tweet announcement that there was going to be a 90-day pause on the tariffs hit. And immediately I was up $12,000 and probably should have been up 100 if I had the fortitude to realize we were going to make a 7% up move in the NASDAQ in 5 minutes, which I've never seen before in my life. Fine. I actually bought puts near the top to preserve my positions that were going down when it retraced because it was a rumor. But here's the thing. The Qs were around 405, 406 before this fake tweet came out that there was going to be a 90-day pause, right? They went up to 440, and then they never came back down. They came back down to like below like the 420 area.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're having a major bounce today. They did nothing other than say that rumor wasn't true. So I guess it's just confusing for me that one tweet could send the market up that much. It was a fake tweet, but we don't come back down. That would be like, imagine a biotech. Imagine a biotech stock. They're like, phase 3 trial approved. And the stock goes up a crazy amount. And then they're like, no, we were wrong. It's not approved. The drug doesn't work. But the stock doesn't go back down all the way. The market usually doesn't make sense to me, but in this particular case, why are we up?
So, okay, I'll take a stab at that. First of all, you're not alone, right? This entire fiasco here has everyone puzzled. One of the things that I had said here to open the show was that one of the things that big move yesterday really showed is that this market was just waiting for any excuse to bounce. It did not care to confirm whether that rumor was true. I think you also saw algo-driven buying in that panic candle up that you were referencing there that took us the Qs to 440. It just seemed to me like the oversold sentiment was so great. The sentiment, well, I shouldn't say that because the sentiment, the overall sentiment was so poor. The market was so oversold that we were really looking for a bounce. So when we had this kind of going back and forth, when we realized that it wasn't necessarily the end of the world, the market kind of spent the next hour consolidating around this area before it started to drift up, and it's drifting up here again today. So part of me thinks, Adam, that this is just kind of a regression back to the mean after just an absolute pounding that the market has took for the last 3 days. So I appreciate you trying to make sense of this. Good luck. If you do, let me know because we're still trying to do the same thing here.
No, you're right. I guess in listening to you, the analogy I would come up with is the market was waiting for a starting gun to start the rally, and it was a false start.
Yep.
They didn't care. They already started going, and it was too late. They were gone.
You know what? I like that. I think I might reuse that, Adam. It was almost like the start of a race, and there was a false start, but the market was like, nah, I'm already doing this here.
Yeah, I'm not coming back to the starting line.
Okay. Props to you on that one. I really like that analogy. I'm probably going to reuse that here today. So really good stuff. Okay, now given all of this,
Sure.
How are you look? I guess let's start with what are you looking to trade here today? Are you still in some of these positions? Are you unwinding some of these positions? What are you looking to do here today, right at the open?
So I think, it got to the point in the market where I didn't want to be, I wanted to pick a direction. Like, you can't
Mhm.
try to ride both sides of it because it's moving too fast. So for me, what always worked was to try to look for a slowdown in the selling, to look for a buying opportunity. I traded really well in the days where we've been down. I'm actually a little bit more concerned with a day like today. This is a more dangerous day for an active trader. If you're an investor who's getting beat up, you're psyched. You don't have to do anything. The market opens up today, and that's great. If you're active traders like we are, and you come in relatively light, the volatility. I was getting a lot of phone calls. I was getting a lot of phone calls. My friends, the people that everyone's like, "What do we do?" And I was like, "Don't be greedy." I'm like, you see a move,
Mhm.
catch a move. Don't think you're making $1 million on this move. Take the
Mhm.
profit, take the profits. And that was the right thing. Other than that one rally yesterday, which, by the way, went up and down too fast for most people to do anything.
Yep.
So the idea is that you don't want to be greedy. Now, with that thinking, in a market like this today, you don't want to chase this rally up. That could be very dangerous. You don't want to short a market like this. So it becomes more stock specific, right? Um, Now, I've been watching some stocks that are supposed to be not impacted by tariffs. Like, I use ChatGPT to see what are the stocks least impacted by tariffs,
Mhm.
to try to say, okay, what can rally. So one of the ones down the list came up as a stock I already like to trade is SoFi, right?
Okay.
So SoFi is not supposed to be that impacted by tariffs, other than if the economy goes bad, there's less money to invest. And so, because we're not computers and we can't respond as fast as the market, yesterday when I saw that rally happening and I was already missing the indexes, like the indexes were too hard to trade as that rally is happening. I bought SoFi was at like 960. I bought like 200 of the 1050 calls for 20 cents and instantly made thousands of dollars. It shot
Mhm.
up a point, but it was like a tertiary play. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It makes it easier for me. So in a market where you're trying to watch stuff, what I'm doing is, if I can't trade with the big boys because I'm not a computer, then I'll look for something like a SoFi or Uber or something else that I'm trading to react to say, okay, we're going up. I'm going to buy this stock now, or I'm going to buy these options, um, and and then getting out when it seems to pause to catch its breath. I'm getting out. Um,
Okay, so a couple of thoughts there. So first of all, I think that is exactly the right way to do this. In fact, one of the things that we were saying yesterday when we were watching this power candle take us higher, I was saying, hey, if my plan was to kind of wait out the beginning of the market, so I wasn't participating in that, although I did participate in TQQQ a little bit later. However, one of the things that we were saying is, look, this is a huge, huge reversal. I think that you should probably at least pay yourself on the way up here. We had Scott on last week, and he had said something great. He had said, we're traders, right? So we need to pay ourselves sometimes. And that really kind of stuck with me, especially when we're moving higher. So I was saying yesterday, you should probably be lightening or trimming into this move at least a little bit here. As far as, you were saying, you needed us to kind of help you out here. We did have a couple of thoughts here. Lion here is saying, I'm selling any pop. I do not trust this market. Still a lot of bad news and no clarity on the tariffs. That's kind of what everyone feels here, it seems. Quantum Vortex, I don't trust this bounce either. Adam, like you, I took the SOXL overnight last night just because I'm trying to play the bounce here, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm probably going to end up selling that here today. I'm looking to just kind of pay myself. I'm not necessarily looking to be greedy and overstay my welcome in some of these moves here. So I'm with you on that, and I also really appreciate you mentioning how difficult that was to trade yesterday, because some of these movements were really, really fast, and chasing was actually the absolute wrong move to do. You got punished almost immediately if you did that. So I'm with you here. I don't think chasing the move here is a good idea.
It is. It is. There's two other things about that. Number one, it is crazy though, knowing how much money you could have made
Yeah.
if you timed it right. How fast you could have made a lot of money, not risking a lot of money. Like, you could have the Russell. I had 120 176 calls on the IWM at one point. And, I went from down to up and took a profit for $1,000, but that could have been worth $200,000.
Yeah.
My plan isn't ever holding, and that was ridiculous. And it's been right. The plan has been right, other than that 5-minute stretch.
And it seems like you're setting me up here perfectly. It actually seems like scaling out is the way to really take advantage of that, so you don't leave too much on the table. Folks, if you like what you're hearing here, get all of Adam's top option strategies in one simple training, and learn how he finds trades looking to print money every week. QR code here at the top of the screen. Throw the link in the chat as well. So, okay.
Another weird thing is,
yeah,
Ryan,
go ahead.
It's weird that the futures bottomed overnight, not last night, the night before. Like, they were down significantly more than they opened yesterday. So we never got to see that market bottom during trading hours. The futures had a bottom. I would have expected that we tested it in the market. We were probably on our way had that fake tweet not gone out. But it is a little concerning for the long haul to not have a real bottom test. Like, what everyone said was, this doesn't seem like it's going to be that like V bottom. But the way we're up today, I don't know. Yeah, you can't chase this open this morning. But also, I do want to say that there's two different conversations. There's the long-term investing versus the active trading. The active trading is everything we're talking about. Long-term investing, on Thursday, when we were down a lot, I put some money into Amazon, JP Morgan, and Meta, but that's forever. That's for years. And my plan I made with my financial advisor, that's my money that's put away, was, all right, if we go down another 5%, maybe we'll buy another tranche. I didn't go 100% in. I went like 15% in. And the next day we were down 5% again. He's like, do you want to buy more? I'm like, no, that was too fast. Like, that was too scary. I'm like, so yeah, everyone has a plan until you get hit in the face. In terms of individual stocks, I mean, like, I'm looking at, I've been in the Core Z for a while. And Core Z trades, it's supposed to be traded with Core Weave. Okay. Everything, it's supposed to be a $12 stock, or just based on its deal with Core Weave. Okay. The value is $12 per share. The reason why they traded down to $7 was because everyone was saying Core Weave was going to fail, which would be bad for Core Z. Core Weave IPO went better than expected, and then in addition, they just announced, or they're on the verge of signing Google too, along with OpenAI, NVIDIA. Well, they have the NVIDIA chips, and Microsoft. So this stock was, if you go back to last week, on Wednesday, it was about to explode at the close. Like, it closed and then was trading higher. And then the tariff thing started and the market sold off. And Thursday was down, but Friday it actually closed positive, which is pretty impressive considering what the market was doing. And then yesterday was basically flat. The only thing is, in a market like this, people are going to buy the big names. So I don't expect this to rally just because the market's rallying, but it is interesting that it was positive on Friday. That, for me, was a good sign. It's my biggest position. We'll see what it could do.
And it looks like here, like it's holding the 500-day moving average, that value at 667. It's doing a really good job using that as support so far here.
Yeah, I feel good about it, but I feel better about the stock I own than the options. Like, I'm comfortable in the stock at these prices. The options is, all right, when will it go up? I do like SoFi, but again, like, this is where it kept bouncing yesterday. Maybe it goes to 11 on the morning open, but not going to chase it beyond that. And then, I don't know, like, the Palantirs and stuff are moving like the indexes. Like, the move in Palantir, to trade Palantir, it's just like trading it moves so fast right now.
Yeah. I'm still waiting out 60 here on Palantir. I'd love for that 200-day to come up to 60 and give me an opportunity. But we'll see.
I thought you were going to get it. I thought those were like, I thought we were going to see NVIDIA down below 80, Palantir around 60. I was waiting for those bottom prices that we didn't get. What are you looking at that you like?
So long term, if we continue to roll over here, one of my top picks is going to be PanW, Palo Alto. I'm big on cybersecurity as a theme through 2025. You can take a look here at the daily chart. We've really come in off this double top right up here of 2 and change. We've come down to the 50-day moving average. We've done a really good job of holding it. PanW is actually still oversold right now. So I think if we get any type of extension on this bounce, you might have a possible move up towards 160 and maybe even through. Got a little bit of a gap fill up here to 164. But to answer your question, PanW here, one I like for the long term. Another one that I really like for the long term is one that you mentioned here, Amazon. This is one that I trade around a little bit thanks to the group here who seems to trade it pretty actively. But this is also something I'd really like to just kind of add and throw in my back pocket and forget about. One more here that the entire group knows about, perhaps my favorite stock right now, Costco. Basically, anytime I get a chance to add here, I think this is going to be good. I think Costco is going to be able to manage the tariff situations really well. And I think if the consumer continues to tighten, they'll probably trade down or do more purchasing here at Costco. I say that because that's what I do. So we'll see if that ends up shaking out here. So there's 3 of them for you that I do like long term that I'd be willing to hold for more than 5 minutes if I get some pretty good entry on that.
Nice. So yeah, those are the names that should respond nicely this morning to a market rally. They're all big names, Amazon especially, Costco. Yeah, you're gonna get the full benefit of this morning's open with names like that.
And the other thing here about that is that because last night, like in the moment, I wasn't sure about what individual name I was going to play. And I was like, you know what? You've had good luck with some of these levered ETFs. Just stick with that. So my exposure here to this big move from what I carried over last night is basically through the levered semiconductor. Look, I got one more question for you. You've been so active and good with these. I can't let you go without asking you, do you have any interest in the quantum names? If we continue to see a market bounce here, do you think we might have any like big move on this?
By the way, I don't know how big your team is or how possible this would be, but if you remember one of our first interviews, if you remember when I called the quantum names on this show, when I talked about them, I was literally Qubits was trading at 90 cents when I brought it up. Like I wish we could go to the tape on that because that's legendary. I swear. Like when you say it, I remember being on here saying, "Oh, I'm going to be watching quantum for years." Anyhow, no, I'm not. I own Qubits. We have it in my private portfolio has been great because we collect dividends, we sell calls against our positions, we're paying for our positions every week. So it's been a very insulated portfolio, and I couldn't be happier how it stood up. And Uber is a stock we own, but Qubits we've been in, but we're in it since $1.90 in that service. So we sell calls against it. It's very easy to stay in. But the reason I don't want to buy quantum on moves like this is quantum, everyone said, is a multi-year play. It's nothing happening soon. And when you have emotion and panic and the market's tanking, you're like, I could always buy this later. That's something you're going to easily get rid of. And when we bounce, you want the stuff that's going to bounce now, not something that might move in a couple of years. So I know it's looking good right now, but I don't think it's the right play for this market because I think now is the quick hit you're looking for. That's my opinion. But okay. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. I think that's real great. And you know what? I will try and dig that clip up. Well, let's make a victory lap clip of that because look, any type of monster call like that, yeah, we'll absolutely promote that. That was really good. I do remember that. That's why I keep asking you about it every time that you come back. That move was insane. That move is insane. Okay, folks, real good stuff here from T3's Adam Mesh. Get all of Adam's top option strategies in one simple training and learn how he finds trades looking to print money every week. QR code at the top of the screen. Link is in the chat. Adam, thanks very much for everything here today. Anything else you want to leave us with?
Just a compliment. You know, my favorite thing is having a community. Like that's why I do what I do. Like when I grew up trading with rows of people, and then that got replaced in a virtual world. But it's only fun if everyone's involved. And when I look at your chat and I see all the different people writing in, that's energy that you could feed off of. And I always appreciate that. I appreciate an active audience. It means you're doing a great job involving them, and that makes it really fun to be here.
That is really, really awesome. I can't thank you enough. That is a primary goal of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to raise the boat for the entire community here. And yes, some of the feedback that we've got is that we do include everybody here. That's the whole goal. So the fact that you're picking up on that is awesome. Adam, you are a part of our community as well, and you're welcome back anytime. Really appreciate it. Thanks very much. Good luck today. We're going to check in with you next time when you come back.
All right, thank you.
That is Adam Mesh from T3. Really awesome stuff there, folks. And again, look, this guy's lights out when it comes to options trading. If that's what you're looking at, please scan that QR code. Get involved here. And how about that? How about that? A compliment about our community. Now you folks see why we're building what we're building here. You get it from someone else other than me every day. Absolutely love that. Adam Mesh, really, really good stuff. Adam's departure leaves room for 13. Let's go ahead and bring him on. 13, happy Tuesday. Happy turnaround Tuesday, maybe. How are you doing here today?
Well, I'm doing wonderful. Yesterday was a really fun day. You can hear me, right?
I can hear you perfectly, dude.
All right. Sometimes I forget to turn the mic on. But anyway, yeah, it was a fun day yesterday. Nice rebound. Don't think it's gonna, be the turnaround that takes us back up to the highs. Been talking about that for a little while here. We're looking for a brief bounce before we head lower. So still on that train. But there was a really good bounce we had yesterday. Here's one thing that I noticed that was really interesting. We had a 256 million shares traded in SPY yesterday, right? The day
Wasn't this the biggest day ever? I saw a stat. Nope, never mind.
Yeah, I don't think it was. We had a lot of
biggest day in some years. Yeah, biggest day in some years. But I saw a stat yesterday. I couldn't memorize it. Now I've embarrassed myself. But to your point here, volume is huge.
Yeah, so it was. We had a big volume day yesterday, and then the day before we also had a 200 plus million share day. We traded 217, almost 218 million shares. The last time that we had back-to-back days where we traded over 200 million shares on each day was in January of 22. What's interesting is and this is how the market can rhyme sometimes, is that when we had that, we had just come off an all-time high. That was the 479 and 98 cents all-time high from the January highs that year. This 2-day 200 plus million share back-to-back ordeal that happened later in January. And what followed is that we went a little bit sideways. We came back up, didn't make new all-time highs, and then we just kind of chopped around a bit, broadened out the price action before we finally headed lower. That could be very similar to what we're going to get here with this market. I'm not saying it's going to be exact, but I am anticipating that this is not the lowest that we're going to go, and that if we do have any kind of reversal rally, we're not going to go on to make new all-time highs. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with what this market is doing. I think that we're just going to get a brief relief bounce from being oversold. We'll probably consolidate for a bit, but ultimately we are going to end up going a little bit lower.
That is absolutely fantastic, 13. I love that. That makes a lot of sense to me. And it seems to me like several cohorts of folks here are actually looking for something similar, or looking to try to trade that same thing. For any of you that want to go back, produce measurements, or take a look at the time period that 13 was talking about, I'm pretty sure that I've isolated this here. It's going to be Monday, January 24th, 2022 through the high Wednesday, February 2nd of 2022, before we did roll over and then set new lows there. 13, really good stuff there. That is absolutely something that we should be looking at. And you'll be happy to know that several of our community members have already asked, hey, is this a day where we keep ripping, or do we kind of give it back? And we just had Adam Mesh on here. He had just said that these are one of the scarier days, right? I think he was referring to us having some green arrows here in the pre-market that might evaporate when the market opens. So this is all going to be stuff that we have to pay attention to here. Really good spot there to compare to. Really, really good.
Excellent. Yeah, and as we were saying in happy hour yesterday, we were looking for a little bit more upside today. But to your point, I'm not really, saying that there's going to be a whole lot of strength to this rebound. We could see it trade back up into maybe the 520s, but there's no guarantee that's going to happen. We could have we're very headline driven right now, especially whenever there's some kind of news about what's happening with tariffs. The market reacts very quickly to that. But I do think that we may see just a little bit more recovery before we start to get a little bit weaker and then go on to print some lower numbers. But for now, we're still in the process of trying to recover.
Okay, now I gave some SPY levels earlier based on some of the recent price action here. I want you to sanity check me on this if you don't mind. One of the things that I was saying here, we're currently sitting at 517.22 here in the SPY. We are up 2.5% here in the pre-market. Couple of levels that I'm looking for here that I can associate numbers to. The 500-day moving average at 509.05. If we come back in, does that provide any type of support, or do we crash through that? That would put the 20% pullback and the Andy pullback level in play. That's 490 and 480 respectively. On the upside there, we're still looking at the 15% pullback level, just about 4 points higher than where we're at here at 521.25. I know that that's just kind of an arbitrary calculated level as opposed to a moving average or something like, I guess that's also a calculated level, but nonetheless, does that provide any type of resistance? And then right above that, we actually have the high of the candle from Friday, April 4th. That high there, 525.87. If that breaks, we have a potential gap fill up here to 537. So these are going to be some of the levels that I'm looking at. The 500-day on the downside, we'll reassess if we end up breaking that. The 521.25 upside, and then the candle from Friday, 525.87. So 521.25, 525.87. I'm sorry, I know all these numbers are very, very similar and confusing, but if you plot them on a chart, it'll make a lot more sense. So what do you think here about some of these SPY levels?
So Friday's candle, we already saw some, yesterday we saw some interaction with those opens and close levels. So if you look at with the price action we had on yesterday, you saw that when we had that really big fake news rally, we went right up almost to the open of Friday. I think we came within 50 cents of it. And then at the same time, when we closed yesterday, we closed almost at the same close we had Friday. So I think you are getting some price interaction at those particular levels from Friday's candle. But aside from that, we do have some other ones that we can draw on from the past. And you have the 500-day SMA that you already mentioned. We have the 521.25, which is the 15% correction level. That's going to be a level that you could see some resistance. I would go on to even say that yesterday we saw some of the resistance from that level when we had that fake news rally. Mm-hmm. Additional levels that I also have, and this is from when the price was making its way up here for the first time. 515.50 and 512 are another set of levels that I have where we experienced some consolidation, and then also the 521 level as well. A previous all-time high that the Friday candle opened beneath, tried to recapture and failed to, is 524.61. That's going to be the one before we have the gap fill that you were mentioning.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to keep an eye on that. We can even just say 525 is a level that we want to keep an eye on, because Friday's candle, that went up to 525.87.
Yep.
So I would say just keep an eye on the 525 level, see if we close above or beneath that.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff here. We got 28 minutes till we open. We actually have some stuff on the movers list today. I think we should go through that here real quick, and then we can go back. I have 3 names that the chat wanted to take a look at here: Google, Intel, and Neo. We'll look at all 3 of those names prior to the open, but let's at least crush these movers here real quick. Let me queue up the first one here. NAOV, Nanovibronics. Now this didn't have news earlier. Let's see if anything came. Nope. Nothing here. Looks like, April 3rd in the after hours was the last thing that we got here. So no news here. Stock is up 172%. Looks like we moved from about $3 above $9. We're coming back in a little bit here. Short interest, 4.89% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover here. Stock is a micro float here, 758,000. This is what we saw yesterday in the big mover, JNVR. Really, really low float. We're seeing that here again. On average, stock trades just under 1 million shares this morning. We've already traded 23.25 million. What do you got here? Ticker NAOV.
I noticed that there were a lot of small, biotech and medical device companies that were moving today, and I think it may be moving in sympathy with the other bigger names that got the news that Medicare was going to increase their payouts. So I think you could see it like a kind of like a whole sector lift, because I noticed there was a substantial amount of biotechs and biomedical devices that were up this morning. So and they were all up on no news. So I was thinking maybe there's so that's helping give these some a lift, and some of them are going to move more than others because they have floats under 1 million shares. Now this particular one did a 1-for-11 reverse split on March 14th. And they did also file to sell a Series G convertible preferred stock and warrants. I don't know if they ended up completing that or not. I don't believe they did. So that's something that we could end up seeing happen here today, because the company does need cash. They do not have very much of it. They lose money every quarter. Not a lot, but they aren't making it. And they have less than $1 million in the bank. So there's going to have to be a capital raise here at some point. I just don't know exactly when, but with the recent reverse split and the prospectus of selling shares, I think that's going to be something that's going to be coming. So we probably want to be careful with this. Maybe just get in, get out. Don't look at it ever again until it does their offering.
Okay. Good stuff there. NAOV. J Rice, good morning, Ryan and 13. Great game last night in the Masters on Thursday. Doesn't get much better. George is on my mind. What can I say? Can't wait for Thursday there. Yeah, that game was pretty good. And good morning. It's great to see you. Okay, next here on the list is going to be GLXG. GLXG. I'm make sure I get that ticker right there. This is Galaxy Payroll Group. Stock here popped after hours yesterday on no news, got a NASDAQ minimum price notice on March 24th, got a 10 million share float, payroll company out of Hong Kong. So not all Chinese stocks are depressed here. This one looks to be popping. Short interest here, 0.48% with 2.06 days to cover, but that's on pretty small average volume here, 1.24 million. Stock's already traded 51.35 million here today. Hong Kong name, what do you got on this one? GLXG.
I think you pretty much covered everything that I've got on this one that I took the time to look at. I think this is just, basically one of those China pumps that we see from time to time. I did see the minimum bid notice, 10.8 million shares in the float. We did get, I think that all the big moves may have already happened for the time being. We hit 281 in the pre-market here, and since then we've lost VWAP, and the 65 EMA on the 5-minute did get a near touch of the 200 EMA on its way down here, but still doesn't look like it's beginning to recover. Might be going sideways, but until we have a solid bottom here, and the MACD is showing us that we are going to be curling back up, and it looks like it is. That's going to be something I'm not going to be interested in trading until we start to see some turning up towards the VWAP, so it can try and recapture it. I wouldn't want to try and trade this underneath the VWAP just yet, especially given the nature of what this company is. I think we would want to pay attention to this more if it does recapture VWAP, but I need to see that test happen. That's going to be about just under $2 it needs to get up to in order to recapture that level.
Okay, and looks like STFU saying we traded this back in November. It was much higher back in November. It looks like it did have another run here early January. I don't remember this one. Maybe this wasn't one of the little guys that I ended up trading.
I wonder if those big downside moves are from offerings.
Wouldn't be shocked. Let's see, what day was that? Thursday, November 14th. I guess that wouldn't be too easy to, or it wouldn't be too hard to figure out here. November 14th, November 13th. Looks like we were traded and halted a whole bunch on no news, and the next day it looks like we were halted down on no news. So not even sure we got any.
Yeah, I don't see any filings either, so I'm not sure what all that was. But
Okay.
that just kind of that makes me cautious about the trading these kind of things, and gives a good lesson on why you don't want to hold those kind of things.
Okay. All right. Next, small little guy here, SXTP. Let me get to an intraday chart so we can see what's going on here. The stock is ripping here. Looks like it printed as high as 3, but backed off, came back in. It's holding the VWAP here at 241. Let's see. Do we have anything here? SXTP. 1.4 million float, 3.4% of the float shorted. 1.19 days to cover. Volume is all over the place. Don't see any news on this name here. Up. Never mind. We did get a PR here. I beg your pardon. 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals announces patient license agreement with Yale School of Medicine and Yale School of Public Health for the development and commercialization of some drug with a ton of letters that I'm not going to pronounce. So, okay, getting some news here on a license agreement with the Yale School of Medicine. Stocks up 46% here. We gave you the short interest. It's there, but pretty small, and that's based on an average volume of 500,000 shares. We've already traded 7.3 million here today, so I don't think there's going to be any trouble covering those shorts up. 1.4 mil float here. What do you got, 13?
Didn't cover this one. It wasn't moving like it. Well, I mean, it was down when I was taking a look at it. It's since recovered, but didn't really cover this one. Taking a quick look here, just under 1.5 million shares in the float. They have a little more than 1.6 million in cash, but they don't make money. They lose it to the tune of about 2 million a quarter. Aside from that, looking at the technicals here, it is back above VWAP, but it seems as though every time it gets up to about the 270s, runs into some resistance. So you need to get above 290 and close above there, maybe even 3. But you can tell that ever since the 8 o'clock, we were trying to get above 290 or into the $3 handle. Has had a hard time doing it. First was a big rejection down beneath VWAP. Since it has since recaptured it after multiple attempts trying to get above it. But until we see that move above 3, I don't know about this one. It's looking like it's recovering nicely, but need to see that 3 captured.
Okay. I love this here. STFU, going ahead and typing the name of that. STFU, the simplest way I can put this, know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And this to me, good luck. It sounded pretty good. Sounded like you knew what you were talking about there. But like I said, I just bailed on that before making a fool of myself. Okay, next stock here on the list, NYXH. You know there's trouble when there's X in the ticker. I just made that up on the spot here. Anyway, NYXH here. We did have some news on this one. This is nearing an FDA approval for its Genio system following an approvable letter confirming PMA requirements are substantially met. That seems like a bunch of lawyer jargon here, but resolves in perhaps an FDA approval. Stock's up 18% here. It was up much more than that here in the pre-market, has since retraced about 75% of the move. Quick look around the horn here, 0.24% of the float shorted with 1.7 days to cover. That 1.7 days to cover based on 60K shares traded per day. That will be no problem to cover up here today. We've already traded over 2 million here. So you got anything here on NYXH? This is definitely one that I've never traded here before. You can see we've actually made a huge move down from 11 recently. What do you think?
It's PRs like this that make me wonder why even bother at all unless there's some reason to move your stock up. Because I would be more interested in the actual FDA approval, but they're talking about getting a letter confirming that PMA requirements were substantially met. So this is just one of those things where they got notice that the part of the process was right and they are moving forward. So the FDA approval should be the real news. But when it comes to things like this, I'm wondering, okay, so what's the reason for you trying to move your stock up today? Well, you look down a little bit more, and in March you see that they filed for a 200 million mixed security shelf. I don't know if they ended up going through with that or not, but that's out there now. Their stock's up. I have to wonder, what's going on with this that you need to, pump your stock up when the FDA approval would do the job just the same? So I'm a little skeptical of this.
Okay.
I mean, it could just go. I mean, I don't know. I didn't cover this one, so I don't know. But my first thought here is, we've seen plenty of PRs like this where they give you a headline about them completing a process of a loan or a step in the approval or the regulatory process, and it's like, it just doesn't make sense to me a lot of times because it's moving their stock up, yes, but it seems like the actual news, like actual FDA approval, would be the better news to have, and it may even be a sell the news event. But at the same time, like, I have to think that there's a reason why they pump this, they push this out. So I'm a little skeptical. I don't know what this is going to end up doing today. You can tell from the price action that we did get a rally up to 951. Since come back well beneath VWAP, and it's kind of hanging out with these other larger EMAs, the 65 and the 200. And it's just going sideways right now. So if you want, we can keep an eye on this one and just see what it does. But it still has the task of recapturing VWAP if we're going to see more upside. So
quick
this
scan.
is one to be careful with.
Quick scan through the PR here doesn't show anything in terms of when they might expect that approval, so we're not even getting a hint there on the on all of that. And then here the approvable.
Potentially be approved in the second quarter. Yeah.
Well, here we go. This says potentially be approved in the second quarter and intends to provide an update on the review process on its first quarter earnings call to be held in late May. So, okay, so I apologize there. I apparently had the wrong PR clicked on. But real quickly, as far as that earnings, looks like we actually have that projected here for May 13th. They're saying late May, so the company's going to have to confirm that. So it looks like this catalyst might have a follow-up coming here at the end of May. I'm sure we'll get this confirmed as we get closer to that earnings print.
Yeah, and we still have a whole month and plus before we even get to that. So the price could even trend lower, giving us more opportunity to get this at a cheaper price if we want to try that trade. But that's not something I'd be interested in doing.
Okay. Real quick here. Sweet one. Good morning. Great to see you here. Also saying pretty hesitant about this bounce. So it sure seems like we've kind of talked to a bunch of people here today. The chat here as well as Adam sure seems like, maybe there's a little skepticism about this bounce. I think that, again, just kind of what we were talking about earlier, make sure that you're getting yourself paid on these. I think that's the most important part. Don't be greedy, was something that Adam had said earlier, which you completely agree with there. So you're not alone, sweet one. You're not alone in not trusting the bounce. We'll see where we end up going here. All right, I got two more on the movers list, and then we'll get some of the bigger stocks. We should have plenty of time, so do not despair. Next one here on the list is going to be APDN. This is Applied DNA Sciences. Did we have news on this? We did. Applied DNA regains compliance with NASDAQ minimum bid price requirement. So this is one of our oldie but goodie catalysts here. We know how to play this one, right? Might go crazy. Don't overstay your welcome. Don't overstay your welcome on this. Quick look around the horn here. 36.47% of the float shorted with 1.27 days to cover. That's on an average volume of 1 million. We're actually not even above 1 million yet, but I anticipate that to happen here in quick order right around the open. Float on this stock, micro float, 639,000 shares on APDN. So we've got a catalyst that we're familiar with. We got a little bit of a trade up here. We're actually moving above the consolidation area from Friday. What do you think here on APDN?
Probably going to see this short squeeze quite a bit. If the short of the float percent shorted is accurate, which I think it is, it's 36.5. That's going to provide a decent squeeze here, but it's not going to last all day, I don't think. I didn't go over this one as well. The only other one I went over was just to see what it was about was the TRNR acquiring Wattbike, but we can get to that if we want.
That's next on the list. So
okay, yeah, APDN. This is just going to squeeze. Let me just look and see what levels I have here, because I don't remember if this what the financial strength of this company looks like. They're losing, millions of dollars a quarter. Okay. And they have about 9.2 in the bank. Okay. So they're going to have to do a capital raise at some point. Don't know when. As far as the technicals go with this one, we are coming back up to what looks like Friday's opening price. We kind of went sideways about at this 160 area on Thursday in the pre-market and regular session and the after hours before we finally lost these levels on Friday. So that would be one of the earliest upside targets I'd be looking at is to see if we can get above this 160 area. And then we have a pre-market high from the 3rd that was $2. So let's just start with those two, 160 and $2 that we'd be looking for upside on.
Okay. All right, great job there. Last one of the little guys to cover, TRNR, Interactive Strength. At this point, I think we can call this one an ex-girlfriend. I feel like we've traded this one a whole bunch here. TRNR, this did pop above 140 to 144 there, came back in, almost all the way back in here. Let me take a quick look at the news here first. Interactive Strength expands global footprint with Wattbike acquisition targeting over 65 million in 2025 pro forma revenue here. 65 million. This is a market cap of 1.3 million. So that number is pretty good, at least on the surface here. Quick look around the horn. 30.16% of the float shorted here with 1 day to cover. That is on an average volume of 12.49 million. Should be plenty to soak it up. We've already traded almost 18 million here today. What do you got here? TRNR.
Yep, they're acquiring Watt Bike in an all-stock transaction. So there's no cash consideration here. It has 452,000 shares in the float. I think you mentioned that. It also has a high short interest of 30% of the float being shorted. So did get a bit of an outsized move there earlier this morning. We could see more of that today. But as far as this transaction goes, this is expected to close in the second quarter. So sometime between now and the end of June. And that's all I really got on this. I mean, I took a look at the financials. They're not great. So no wonder they're not going to try to commit cash to acquiring this company. But I didn't deep dive into this to see how they're going to be doing the all stock transaction if they're issuing preferred units. I think they are issuing preferred shares. I think I saw that they or convertibles. I think they saw they are restricted until 2026. Is what I recall reading here, and when I was briefly skimming over it. But as far as the trade here goes, I'm not 100% sure. Let me look at some levels here. Oops.
I got 110 here as a level that actually comes from Thursday of last week.
Yeah, there's
the first one.
Yeah, and then we have VWAP, that's at 117. There's actually a trend line that we can draw from the price action we've had today. So we can at least see if that works. It looks like we have tried to get over it, and now we're kind of maybe sidestepping over this trend line. So we'll see if there's any volume that comes up in here. But this isn't looking the greatest to me right now, but we'll see what ends up happening if they even can get back up to VWAP. I would be looking for, if it does start to move up, there's going to be resistance around 114. That's where this consolidation from this morning starts. And then you have VWAP. So a couple of areas to get over if we are going to see some more upside in TRNR.
Okay. Real good stuff there, TRNR. A couple of things here real quick. I am seeing a piece of news right now. Looks like Trump made another Truth Social post. It's long. I can't read it yet, but the Kobesi letter is breaking it down. Trump says China, quote, wants to make a deal badly, but they don't know how to get it started, end quote. That looks like a troll job right there. He also says that, quote, we have the probability of a great deal, end quote, with South Korea after their call with the president. S&P futures here ticking up on that news, now up over 3%, 3.17% here, 52.62 on the ES S&P 500 futures. Okay. All right, let's go back to the main chart. Let's talk about some of the bigger stocks. But briefly, I need to comment on this. I was actually wondering if I was going to see someone comment on this today. And I said to myself, don't mention anything until you finish the podcast unless someone mentions it in the chat. And lo and behold here, Fairchild has shown up this morning and not disappointed. Side note, I don't think we need dire wolves. Okay, so I started watching this podcast yesterday, and Fairchild, I cannot, for those that are unaware here, Colossal Biosciences, a company, has recreated dire wolves out of extinction, 10,000 years extinct. And they did a podcast with Joe Rogan. It was released yesterday. I started watching this. I haven't finished it. My initial thought was, have these folks seen Jurassic Park? What are we doing? Like now, I will say I started watching this. I want to hold all of my thoughts until I finish it. It is extremely interesting. If you liked Jurassic Park, the guy's very, very well spoken and easy to listen to. On top of that, he does most of the talking, not Joe. So it's actually very, very interesting to me early on. Fairchild, I don't know where I land on this. I know that they're trying to also create a woolly mammoth and all of that. So I'm not sure where I stand on this. The podcast is interesting. I'm glad someone else is interested in it like I am. Okay. All right. Let's talk about some of the bigger stocks here. We'll start with Google, GOOG. So here's your spot on the daily chart. Now, Google here just about 154, right? So we've got the 500-day here at 153.67. Our current price here is 153.93. So we are actually right now above the 500-day. What this means for me is I want to see if we close above this. As I just mentioned in the back of that quote there, S&P 500 futures ticking up, tech also ticking up here. That brought Google to where we're at now. We'll see if we can get a daily close candle here above that. We do have a little bit of a gap to fill up here to 157. We'll see if we can end up getting that. And then I do have the 20-day here at 161. Now, Google did bounce out of oversold territory. RSI still kind of depressed down here at 37. You got any spots here on Google?
I've liked the area between 150 and 155 for a while. Those were my or two of my buy levels, so we hit those already. And looks like I would like to see a recapture of the 500-day SMA. We might get that, but I think what's going to be tough is getting and holding above the 20. We did death cross yesterday, so I anticipate that there's going to be some more downside coming, maybe following a recapture of some of these levels. But I think if we cannot get back above the 20-day SMA, that's going to be the indication that we need to see of that's going to tell us that this is going to head lower before we start turning back around. So going to be watching for that 20-day SMA and see what if we can get above it or not. If we can start closing above it, then maybe I'm wrong and we are going to try and go higher. But I think that's the SMA I'd be watching, is to see if we can close above that for several days.
Okay, really good stuff there with Google. Next on the list here is going to be Intel. Intel here right back down at I swear, this stock, it just has the craziest pattern of moving from like this 19 to 20 area up towards 25, maybe even a little bit higher, and then it comes right back in. We currently find ourselves here 2010, pretty much right above the support level. This trade for me is easy. If you're going to try and trade Intel, I'd basically be using this 19 support as your stop or your support level, however you determine you're going to trade that here. This also not quite as oversold, but still pretty low here. I know there's been a lot of talk about more investment in Intel. Lip-Bu-Tan really wants to turn this around. He seems to be like the right guy to do it. But as we've discussed a lot with Intel, you got a ship that's this big. It takes a while to actually turn that. And on top of that, now you're laying in a trade war fiasco, if you will, or at minimum, you're layering in a bunch of uncertainty. So I think that must make Intel difficult to hold here. I kind of do like this long term at this level, but I'd be trading it against this level. You have anything here on Intel for the group?
It's still using that same bottoming area around, the high 18s. It's been the bottom for almost an entire year now. I would expect that this, tries to move back up, or at the very least sideways. But for almost a year now, this has not done a whole lot, and not since the yen carry trade. I mean, since the yen carry trade, it's only gone sideways. And I don't know if that joint venture between TSMC and this company is going to, see anything materialize that's going to help lift it up higher anytime soon. So for me, I think I would just want to see this same bottoming area hold up, not get broken beneath, which is, it's great that it hasn't, given the downside we've been receiving lately. But I do want to see an actual recapture of the 200-day SMA and start to move away from it. I don't know how soon we're going to get that, because it seems like we're still just moving sideways, and we need to get out of this sideways channel. That's really all that matters. For me. Okay. Just a big sideways channel that we've been in for almost a year. Need to get out of this. I think as soon as we break down beneath, let's say 1860, or break out of 2750. That's going to be, I think that's the direction we're going to end up taking. So whichever direction we break out of or break down from, that's the direction we go.
Okay. Good stuff there. All right. STFU saying it's not a fiasco. It's all part of the plan. 5D chess. That might be true, but I'm basically just doing that as a shortcut for myself. I'm looking for a very easy way to kind of summarize this that kind of feels down the middle, as opposed to one side or the other. And I settled on fiasco. Maybe that was the wrong word. It's a fun word to say. I encourage you all to try it. But I thought that it adequately describes that. No shade or props intended on either side of that, to be quite honest. Okay, last one here is going to be NEO. I'm going to take a look at the chart. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts, and then I'm going to step away prior to the open here. Here is NEO. I got to be honest. We are lows here, 52-week lows, all types of different lows. I understand the stock is still oversold. The big elephant in the room here is China. That seems to be what everything is revolving around. So for me, this definitely seems like kind of a no touch. But 13, what do you think here of NEO level wise?
I'm kind of wondering to myself at this point, if you want to, get into the China EV space, why wouldn't you just, worry about BYD? They seem to be the best in breed for China EVs. This one, I don't know. I mean, this is just continuing to go down and make some it's headed towards pre-pandemic lows. I mean, we're almost down to where it was in 2019. I don't see any reason why this is stopping. It continues to lose. This is obviously not in dollars, but it loses billions of RMB or yuan or whatever that's denominated in here. But I just don't like this company at all. I think if you're going to trade any of the China EVs, you would do BYD. This one does have some pretty decent short interest, 12.15%, only 2.6 days to cover, but you could see some small movement to the upside on a squeeze. I don't know how much you'll get out of that. I personally, I just don't think this is a great one. It does look like it's a deal of being how oversold it is, but like I said, I think if you're going to trade any China EV, the BYD might be the one to go with.
Okay, I made it back. Good timing. We are about to open, right?
Yeah, we are open. We just opened.
There we go. Really good timing. Right. It looks like it was just late. Okay, let's see what we're doing here. First move here. Obviously, what I'm watching right out of the gate here is going to be the trade that I carried overnight. SOXL is popping here. 1060. Pretty good from the 915 entry. I'm actually going to peel some right here at the highs. 1065. Okay. Good start to the day. We'll see if this has a little bit more legs. We'll let it run a little bit. Maybe close this out here.
All space stocks are green. As a matter of fact, we have one that had some, I think they had some news. SPIR, Spire Global. I think they had some news this morning. Let's see here. Well, they had a buy rating. I think that's all it is. Yeah, it looks like that's what the news was, that they had a buy rating on it.
So this popped in the after hours yesterday and is holding here today, it looks like.
Okay, so after hours, I don't see anything from the after hours. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry.
Well, I just see the price action in the after hours. I don't know.
So they reached an agreement to resolve litigation in the after hours. So you're right. That was at 7:35 p.m. Anyway.
Okay.
Look at these movers. Sorry about that.
All good.
TRNR, that went down out of the gate, trying to rebound off or near the 200 EMA. APDN, that was up to VWAP. NYXH, still kind of sideways, even with a little pop. SXTP, above VWAP, trying to chew through this seller at 250. GLXG.
Pull up TRNR for some reason.
Yeah. Well, it's slightly under $1 right now. I don't know, but it's trying to make its way over that trend line.
There we go. Was I typing in the wrong ticker? Anyway, here it is.
Let's see. NAOV soaring.
Yeah, it sure is. This actually, I just when I take it off the screen, where's Tuna to remind me not to take it off the screen? Just when I took this off the screen, we popped here. This is actually popping into a halt, is it not?
It's going to halt. Yep, 1034. Speaking of crazy stuff yesterday, JNVR, that thing
hit your stupid level, didn't it?
It went to all the stupid levels, a little bit higher. How about that, folks? All the way up to 44 and a little bit more.
I like how that rhymes.
Mm-hmm. Bars. So
Bars,
200 EMA is down where it halted at. So I think this will probably end up selling out. I don't remember the reason this was even going. I think it was like some kind of they got funding or they did converts or something like that. But I think this is an overblown move. This is probably going to end up coming back down.
Raised $43 million to enhance digital asset treasury strategy.
Okay.
So yeah, I think Tim Burr on this one here.
Yeah, I'd be looking at 1650 as maybe an area of support where you might see the selling stop, but I don't know for sure exactly where that selling stops.
Let's take a look at some of those healthcare stocks. We talked about that earlier here. UNH looks like that popped out of the gate here. Humana was another one on that list, ticker HUM.
Looks like SXTP is trying to push through 270.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe keep an eye on that.
AGL, Kathy is mentioning AGL. I do see that here. Oh, yeah, Kathy, let's go. This is ripping out of the gate here. This didn't have any pre-market action. Today, upgraded to outperform from market perform at Bernstein. So this catching an upgrade here, plus 36% on that upgrade. AGL.
Nice.
Nice job there. Nice job there, Kathy. This was not on my radar at all. Nice little pop above yesterday's impulse candle here. Good stuff. Good stuff. NXU popped. You're good. Yeah, you're good. I was just speaking out loud.
Yeah, I was just reading the chat. SLSN, not a ticker. I think it was SLXN, right? Is that what we were talking about?
SLXN. Yes. Selexion. Yes. This sounds familiar. This penny stock here that's popping a little bit.
Yeah. SLXN, folks. Here we go with SXTP. That's trying to hold above this 270. It's needs better volume, but it's above VWAP now. See if we can get going here.
Here's SoFi. This is one of the stocks Adam was trading earlier. This was up. The pre-market high was basically up to yesterday's intraday high. We've backed off that a little bit, but haven't broken down yet. I would imagine if SoFi holds here and Finns continue to cooperate, this actually might move higher.
Ed Edwards says Palantir with excitement. Let's see what Palantir is doing this morning.
Palantir popped back above this trend line that we have on here. Palantir ripping here, 84 now. Crow saying it's SLSN, so we've got SLSN. Oh, is this? This was, what is this? God, is this an IPO today? No, what's going on with this? By the way, here were the IPOs, courtesy of the Benzinga Pro Morning Report. FATN, which is Fat Pipe. This is supposed to IPO here today. And RYET, Rayun Edai Technology. I think that's a Chinese name. Anyway, these are your two IPOs here on deck. I don't know what the deal is with this one, SLSN.
Yeah, sorry for getting that wrong. I thought you guys were talking about SLXN.
Look, we make many mistakes. That's just how it goes.
Speaking of mistakes, a couple of news headlines here that have been getting in happy hour chat. Ukraine has captured Chinese citizens fighting for Russia. They captured 2 of them. They would have captured more, but they ran away. So that's not going to really help China with their with their position in this trade conflict. Also, South Korean acting president, we will not band together with China and Japan to counter U.S. tariffs, according to CNN.
Okay,
that's not looking great for China.
Now, I will say here though. Just kind of looking at this is pulling back here. For me, stop here is just going to be at VWAP. We're just going to lock these gains in. I did sell some on that initial move up. So 10-15 here. It actually looks like that might get filled here. A little bit of a pullback here from the initial green arrows that we were seeing. S&P futures still up 2.75% here, despite this pullback. And actually looking at the futures here, I've got the VWAP on the S&P futures on the ES here at exactly 5,200. So maybe another 30-point pullback here towards the VWAP. We'll see. SOXL. Good Lord, Rhino. That is pulling back here.
STFU, I don't even think I know what SLSN is. So that's fine. And yes, you're right. JNVR with a major knife, that unhalted, that is heading lower now. Actually, it found support at 26, which is kind of the bottom of where this consolidation yesterday was. Given maybe a little bit lower prints, but still most of the consolidation is about at 26, the bottom of it anyway. We should continue to lower. The next area of support could be about 20 to 21, but I think this is probably headed to 1650.
Okay. Marvell, someone was asking about this. I know one of our happy hour traders was trading this for a particular bounce. This actually seeing some calls get bought here. What stock is open?
NAOV.
NAOV. Pulling it up.
It unhalted and it ripped
and
up
higher.
Ripped up to like 1270. Yep.
Register rings for anyone on NAOV here today as that continues to pop out of the open. Hood. I know we've been looking at Hood recently. This also continuing the bounce. I'd actually really like to see Hood get above and hold above that impulse move that we had from yesterday's news headline drop. See here if Hood can end up getting back up. $40 is really the level I'd like to see this recapture. I think we're a little bit a ways from that.
If you're asking a potential halt to the downside for JNBR, I think they had that once already. They should likely have another one if it's a quick enough move. It doesn't look like this move that it's currently dealing with right now was fast enough or had the volume. So probably needs to shoot down a little bit more.
CRMD here, Cormedics shares trading higher after the company issued Q1 preliminary revenue guidance above estimates. This actually popped the top end of its range from 750 here. This actually looks pretty good. Volume looks pretty decent on that one as well. Also, advanced to decliners here, we actually opened with a high of 2,319 advancing. The low print from yesterday was minus 2577, so a pretty huge swing there. Also, market breadth here, green across the board. SPY, Dow, Qs, Russell, and Nice, deep green breadth there.
Everybody must be busy with some trades. I only see STFU talking.
Hey, when there's a lot going on, the people will trade.
Good.
TRNR,
sure. This is starting to get some movement over the trend line, trying to make its way up to VWAP. Slow moving, though.
SOBR here, this halted right at its VWAP on that initial pop. Crow said long NXU here on the pullback. So this actually went through its VWAP, trying to get some support there from the, what is that, the 15 EMA on the 5. See if it does that.
APDN, this is multiple attempts to get over its VWAP. Still not successful yet, but if it starts to do that, maybe keep an eye on it. 160 is the pre-market high. SXTP, this one was mentioning about needing to get over $3. Looking like it's trying to capture 270. Still struggling with that right now. Trading around its VWAP.
Regarding Palantir, what did I just make a mess of here? Come on. Regarding Palantir, this moving higher here, this actually over the impulse move from yesterday. Didn't we get news about the defense budget
being $1 trillion, or being floated as being $1 trillion?
Yeah. So let me see if I can find some stuff here. The higher on what appears to be a comment about a $1 trillion defense budget. So Palantir looks to be responding to that positively here. Palantir actually doing a really good job holding some of these highs.
I noticed that a lot of the defense names when he said that during the White House press interviews with Netanyahu, he was that some of the defense stocks were starting to get a short, just a brief pop. Now we're seeing better movement today. Lockheed Martin up 3.5%. Let's see, Boeing up 4.3%. Let's see, what is NOC? That is up 3.1%. And I think let's see, what's
RTX?
That's another good one. RTX, that's up 4.4. So yeah, all the defense names doing really well. Not just on the $1 trillion budget, but also because defensive names.
Really quickly here is RTX. I was just kind of pulling that up here. It's got some news here on this. RTX shares are trading higher after the company announced an agreement with Delta Airlines to expand the GTF overhaul capacity for Delta over the next decade. Additionally, the company provided an additional business update, including a collaboration with MTU Aero Engines and enhancements to its self-service platform. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know much about that, so I'm not going to pretend, but RTX here plus almost 5% here today on the back of that news.
Yeah, the context is going to matter a lot to that. Because if you just stop at Delta Airlines and only read RTX shares are trading higher after company announced an agreement with Delta Airlines, you think Delta Airlines is going to have missiles strapped to it, but this looks like it's something that has to do with more of the software or navigation or engines side of RTX. So, like I said, gonna have to read into that some more because that's kind of interesting.
Rigetti here. We asked about the quantum names earlier. If the market moves with any type of upside momentum here in tech, I think you could reasonably say that maybe some of these quantum names get a boost. I asked Adam about that. He said, this being far off or years off, maybe not. Rigetti here looking like it's trying to bounce. Looks like it pulled initially. By the way, that market pull didn't break down. Market actually trying to trade back up towards the highs here. SOXL back near those highs, 1055. So that is actually pretty good as well.
Space names having a great day. We have two. We have two that are over 10%. Some approaching 10%. A lot of them are up really nicely. SPI, PIR. We already know why. But Rocket Lab, Redwire, Black Sky, they're all doing really good today, having a nice day. So
Pete's Dell here. Pete, I know you were taking a look at Dell the past couple of days here. Dell also above its impulse high from yesterday and actually trying to take out the highs it put in here today at 78. We had chronicled Dell here, huge move down from the highs. Maybe this found some support from this 2023 level down here at what, 66.5?
Thanks, Jay Channel.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jay, I appreciate that a lot because I read over that and I was like, oh, shoot, I don't know what that is. GTF is Pratt & Whitney's, oops, I don't, what? No, we're not banning him. No, what? GTF is Pratt & Whitney's geared turbofan engine.
Yep.
Jay, appreciate this. That is very helpful. This, again, just kind of commenting, one of the reasons why we do this whole thing is because we are bringing in eyes and brains and ears, frankly, of all of you. Stuff like that, extremely helpful, Jay. Keep it up. And anyone else that does stuff
SXTP got that move over 270 and $3. We're making some new highs here.
Reddit might be trying for 100. That pop over 3 really kind of seemed to send it. I didn't actually watch the pop, but it sure feels like that looking at the chart.
There we go. SXTP 336 new high. Great stuff. And well done, folks that are in AOV. That's had really nice move up to almost 13. Looks like it's testing VWAP, so you may get some movement down there, maybe even underneath it here. Be careful with NAOV. I need to just be patient and let this set up for its next move. But that was nice stuff out of the gate, folks.
This stock's up 300% too.
Yep.
Pete, here with the Dell move here today. This is appreciated. Again, you've really kind of been on Dell here recently. I jumped out this AM. Price target reduced to 90 by a few different firms. They still have big China exposure. I see Morgan Stanley going from 128 to 89. That's pretty much what I've got here in the news feed. Dell Technologies unveils infrastructure innovations built to power the modern AI-ready data center. That almost seems like kind of a fluffy PR there. Good trade there though. That is owed a register ring. That's for sure. SOXL now back at the highs here, 1060. Giddy up. That was the right one to hold overnight.
Yeah, that's a good mention, John, about Broadcom. That thing, really nice news in the afternoon yesterday about the 10 billion share repurchase authorization. I like it because, they're going to be getting those shares. If they're buying it now, they're getting them at a pretty nice discount. So good to see that the share structure get reduced. Sorry, go ahead.
It's all good. NASDAQ back at the highs here, trying to go higher as we speak. SPY lagging shortly behind it and Dow behind that, but looking like a nice push up here. Advancers to decliners still holding steady here, plus 2205. So that is off the high, but is still maintaining pretty well. By the way, big time shout out to, some more news. I've got some programming news for you. I think it's going to make you folks happy. I understand we couldn't get Matt Malley on yesterday. I did speak to him after the show. We're going to have a makeup appearance from Matt tomorrow. So be there. He's going to be at his regular time at 10 a.m. We're still going to have Tim Melvin in the morning, at least as far as I know, unless he got into a wrestling match with a bear or something. We should have him tomorrow morning as well. So Tim Melvin and Matt Maley tomorrow. Matt Maley yesterday in his service, I was actually watching this. I saw him buy EWJ calls earlier, and he bought them, I think, at 50 cents. I watched the bid ask go to 25 by 45. I tried to put an order out to tail him into those at 40 cents. And by the time I had submitted my order, the entire thing shifted. And it was a 50 bid, 60 ask. And it was holding there pretty steady. Actually, those are the 65 calls. Those are $1 to $1.15. Matt is up over 100% on a trade that he alerted yesterday. And am I in it, you ask? Nope, because I was left sitting on the bid trying to get a cheaper price than Matt. I've got only one person to blame for that, and that is myself, unfortunately. Matt is absolutely crushing it. I'm going to continue to promote folks that are being tactical about it. If you want to follow Matt, go ahead and hit that link there in the chat. Get a 7-day free trial of that. Matt is absolutely en fuego right now. Sorry we couldn't bring him to you yesterday. We will bring him here this week. Okay, what do we got? NMAX. Crow's mentioning NMAX here. God, I've taken this off my screen. NMAX up 4% here today. I think the easy money on NMAX was made. This is not a trade that I'm interested in.
Actually, to me, NMAX looks like this is trying to go lower. Now, we do have some wicks on the bottom here. That is an indication that some of the buyers are trying to step in here and pull this thing back over VWAP. But even if it does, I'm a little bit skeptical about this getting higher than about 52.50. So we'll see if this recovers, but I just don't like the way this price action looks out of the gate here. Down, kind of forming a little bit of a rebound, but this is how bear flags and bear pennants start to form. So I don't like the way this looks right now.
Real quick here, careful with the headlines here. I'm seeing this reported elsewhere. Hassett, quote, "We are prioritizing Japan and South Korea on the tariff talks. Mm-hmm. Trump wants fair and reciprocal trade. Will weigh that as he decides whether to accept the country's offers." That is courtesy of a Fox News interview from what I'm seeing online here. Now, the market doesn't really seem to be responding to that. We're just kind of holding steady here in the same area. So NAOV above 12. Actually, it's wicking towards this $13 high. We'll see if we've got the strength to get above that. At this point, this just feels extended. I'm probably going to back off of NAOV. I'm probably not going to. Maybe if this comes in and gives us support, but no, I'm not going to chase it up here.
STFU, the reason why you're seeing this weird price action with SLXN is because there's nobody trading this. It's very illiquid. You look and you can see that for the session volume, we have traded 120,000 shares. So you're going to see one buyer and one seller, and the seller is going to have its bid really high, and the buyer is going to be like, "Oh, I'm just going to market order this." Take it right up there and be like, "Oh crap, that was a little bit too high of a buy. I need to get rid of this thing. Where's the bid at the next bid at? Way down here." So you're going to get a lot of this kind of stuff. It's very illiquid. It's not there's not enough buyers and sellers, so it's going to have these crazy illiquid moves to the top and bottom. There's not enough volume is what it comes down to. So as far as XLN goes, trade it if you want, but you're probably not going to get the fills or even the price action you're looking for because there's just really nobody involved with this right now.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we look for liquid plays, high volume plays. Graph here mentioning Surge, SURG, that's Surge pays here. This is actually moving higher as well. It actually looks like the recent high here on Wednesday of last week. We just took that out. Next level I've got here on Surge is 3. So if it can hold this here, maybe we can make a run at 3 and have a possible breakout on a number of different time frames here. I'll tell you what, this $3 spot looks pretty good if we can get above that.
SXTP, this looks like it's trying to push higher. It made a high 5 minutes ago at 337, trying to get back up there now. This is trading much better now that it's been over 3, but I don't know how much fuel in the tank this one has. As long as it holds above, as long as it's above VWAP, it should continue to perform well, but just watch the volume. We start losing that, it's probably going to fall under VWAP.
Right to the highs there. It tried to take them out.
Mm-hmm. Yep, banging its head on that 330 resistance. Absolutely. It's more like 340. But yeah, to your point. Yeah.
One more programming note that I just forgot. No Anne Marie today. Anne Marie is traveling on a much needed vacation, so no Anne Marie today. We are going to have Paul Meeks at 11:30. You know what that means, folks. That creates what we call in the business a show vacuum. So 13 and I are going to stick around for an extra half hour today and hang out with y'all folks before we send you over to Paul Meeks. So I know everyone was probably waiting for Anne Marie. They're going to have to settle for 13 and I, but at least there will be something.
Yeah, I hope that's all right. SXTP, this is ripping.
What a move.
Mm-hmm. See ya.
See ya. Oh, that's good.
Let's see. Let's look at some other levels here for this one. Looks like this may start to move into a halt. We'll see if that ends up happening. As far as other levels go, I do like the $5 level. That looks interesting. Above that, let's look at this. Let's just call it 5 and 6 as the next levels to the upside. I'll just settle on that. Maybe there's a little spot in between there, like around 575. But we'll just lay on those three: $5, 575, and 6.
Yep. SXTP halted here.
Yep.
384. Steve, good morning. Good to see you again. Caught the bottom of the red candle on SPY, locked in 22% gain and kept a trailer. Steve.
God damn.
Yeah, Steve getting it done here on a turnaround Tuesday. Getting it done. Turnaround Tuesday. New highs, by the way, for NASDAQ.
Hey,
XL still sitting up there. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm right there with you. This is, we're going to probably most likely see more downside in the market. But for now, we're getting a little bit of a relief rally. That's continued. That's gone from yesterday and continued into today. We could still get maybe one more day of some continued relief, if anything, some sideways action. But I do agree that this market is going to end up trending lower. Do agree.
We're playing the hand we're dealt. Today, we're dealt a hand with green arrows in a market that wants to move higher. That's the hand we're going to play. We're going to do as good of a job as we can to remain nimble and not get ourselves caught off sides. I think that's going to be really the big key here. That also might be why you want to maybe look at your position sizing, making sure that you can get in and out and you're not putting yourself in a precarious position. NAOV backing off that high here. We'll see if it firms up at the VWAP at all. GLXG, the Hong Kong name that we talked about. I can't even get the chart to load here. Up 41.5% though. NVIDIA, more calls are getting bought.
GLXG is down since the open. It's just up because it's higher than what it closed at yesterday. That's really it. This thing still looks like it could head lower. It's beneath the VWAP. Volume's not looking great. I don't think I'd be ready to. If I was going to trade GLXG, I don't think I'd be ready to do it now. I think there's a little bit more downside coming. But that's just me. That's if I was going to trade it, which I don't think I want to. Any thoughts on the Grizzly Research smackdown on Cooler? Let's take a look at that.
Was that like a newsprint that we got? Grizzly Research short, just a fancy PR machine for Cooler.
Uh-oh, I guess that means it's time for this thing to rip.
I actually don't have a link to this short report on either of these news posts here.
Well, I can already tell you that the headline here, a fancy PR machine, is complete BS. I know that they have a product. I've seen it. It's real, and they have multiple products, and they do have them in space. As I've said before with this company, I think that their share structure is too big. And Michael Moe has said that he's not going to reverse split. Okay. Then have a 217 million share float and see what that does for you. But he's the CEO. He knows what he's doing. But as far as Grizzly Research, I think I haven't even looked at the short report, so I don't know what they're going to say. But it's more than just a fancy PR machine. I think that's BS.
Sorry, looks like my charts are not cooperating here.
Hey, Jay Walker, how you doing?
Good to see you, Jay Walker.
Got any level for Lunar? Let's see here. Oh yeah, charts are acting up here. Let me look at
Yep,
my
I just reported it.
Okay. Well, one level I've had marked off here for a while on my broker is 752. We're above that. Oh, there we go. Looks like charts came back. I'm going to go back over the Benzinga chart here. So we are trying to recapture the 20-day SMA. We're above it right now, so that's a good sign. But as I've said before, after when this drop was happening, I still want to see a recapture of that 200-day SMA. That's kind of an important level for me. If we don't get it, I think we could see some continued downside. As far as levels go, I've got $5 increments marked off here. So 10, 15, 20, 25. You put those levels out there and look to the left on this thing. You can see just how well behaved this stock reacts around those particular levels of those multiples of 5. So $10 would be the next resistance area that I would be paying attention to, and that's also where the 200-day SMA is. I think that if we're going to see more upside in Lunar, we need to recapture those, and they have not had a lot of really good PR lately, having their second spacecraft going to the moon, not landing in the correct position. So they need to get their landings down.
Always tough to stick the landing. SOBR here, this actually looks like this is moving towards that 8 level. That would be a breakout level. We did get as high as 9 and change in the after hours, 8 and change in the after hours yesterday. 860 looks to be that top there. 8 test looks like it's coming here on sober. Volume is picking up as well. SXTP is open. That is ripping higher here. SXTP 450 looks to be the next spot.
With regard to SPY, it's now above the 15% correction level. We opened above it, and we did trade down to that level almost and reversed. So it's good to see that support, but we need to, we're still in the morning. We need to see that hold throughout the rest of the day. But I still, I'm still sticking to what I think is going to happen. We're just going to end up going lower eventually in the SPY after this relief rally is over.
What level, do you have any levels that you think this relief rally can top out at? That was one of the questions I posed to the group earlier.
So, you know how we have this gap that we're coming up to here?
Sure do.
So we could find the top somewhere in there. And the reason I think that is because there's a lot of previous all-time highs from 131 to 137. There's 5 in there. I think that kind of indicates that there's going to be some compression happening in that area if the price gets back up there. So I would think somewhere between 131 and 137. I'm sorry, 531 and 537. We could see the topping out of the market. I don't know if that's going to be the case for a fact, but that's what I would be. For now, that's what I would be looking at. Okay. That whole area there. Yeah, the TQQ is printing. It's chef's kiss, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, sure. It sure is. I tell you what. And shout out, because one of the things that we were saying yesterday, and we talked about this with Adam again here this morning, this big move that we saw here in TQQQ, we're saying, don't get too greedy on this. Don't be afraid to take gains. We watch this thing pull in, really kind of consolidate, and then break and move higher, and higher we go here still. So
NAOV.
Let me go back to my main workspace here.
Had a really nice bullish mat hold pattern that's breaking out of now.
Oh, yeah. Watch if this volume starts to expand on this next move here. That might tell us how much juice this is going to have for the next leg up. AGL, this is for what, Kathy, you were mentioning this earlier. Looks like this came back into VWAP. Still holding higher here. Volume has dried up, so we're seeing the action dry up there a little bit. SPIR, this is another one that we talked about. This did curl and go through VWAP. Really can't get above 10 yet, though.
Mm-hmm. Space stock's doing really good. So the ones that are doing great is Rocket Lab. Hold on, I got my watch list here. That's not SPIR. Is Rocket Lab, Redwire, Lunar up over 11% now. Black Sky up 8 3/4, and then only the other one that's up over, that's near that high is WiseKey at 7%.
SOXL at the 1070 highs here. I think if that goes to 11, we'll probably just cut that one, book that. Here we go here through those highs, 1072, 73 here. Good stuff on this move higher. NASDAQ 100 rally reaches 4%.
Newsmax rejected VWAP. I think this is kind of the pattern I was alluding to with the bear flag. It's looking like it's starting to resolve to the downside. So I would think that with the price action we're getting in Newsmax, we're going to probably break beneath the 45.90 low that we put in here. So that's what I'd be looking for next. Is I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think this is going to trend lower.
Okay, SOXL continuing to go up. Giddy up. Here we go, folks. Hello from Sydney.
Oh, wow.
Anne-Marie Band literally going to the other side of the world and waving to us from there. Awesome stuff here. Headline-driven markets, but we are close to the top of the implied volatility moves for the day in the bigger charts. Hi, Anne-Marie. Glad to see that your travels were safe. Nobody is surprised that despite you being on the other side of the world, you are still keeping tabs on our market. That is to be expected. Absolutely awesome. Continue to have your safe travels there, and we'll get you back as soon as we can. 13 and I are going to fill in for you here today. We hope to fill your shoes, at least partially.
Yes, but if you do come at us again in the chat, you got to come at us with "Good day."
And make Anne-Marie get involved with the lingo there. If the levels are breached, they will continue to rocket as these implied volatility moves will force dealers to move in the direction of the break. So you're saying it sounds like if some of these option momentum keeps moving to the upside, we might have more room to go on some of these names. Really good stuff there.
Newsmax trying again to get above VWAP. We just had to close above there. I guess we're not resolving this bear flag quite yet. I don't like the volume, though. Very low. NAOV, on the other hand, has much better volume, pushing into the 15 handle. It was there just a moment ago. 1528, the high for NAOV. You might see, for the next 10, 15 minutes, this could trend a little bit lower before it makes the next move if another move is coming.
We did get a nice volume on that last 5-minute stick here, confirming that this is trying to take the next leg higher here. We'll see if we can end up break. What do we have as a high print here? 15 and change?
Lunar now at the pre-market high of 816, trying to go higher. Space Stock's having a good day. SPIR now, but the one you were just talking about not too long ago, that at 33%. I think that was higher than what it was earlier.
FAS continuing here, 121. This thing was $94 in the right after the open yesterday. What a trade for those watching FAS. This is one that I've got to add to my list. I got to do better. I don't think to look at FAS. What a move.
All right. Well, we had 1,000% runner yesterday. Is NAOV going to be the 1,000% runner today? Thing up over 430%.
I haven't traded this at all. I haven't even looked at it here. Let me look at my God. You know what? This is only spread 4 to 5 cents in my broker. That's not even horrific. It's fast moving, but the spread's not ridiculous. At least not that I can observe here. I guess it does stretch out to 10, 12 cents there, but still, I guess I would have expected that to be a little bit more spready, especially with a float here of about $750,000. 1625, your high print here, NAOV. Wowzers. Volume actually looking good here too on this next leg higher.
APDN, that just moved up to over its VWAP, but the volume is not great. It's just kind of hanging out there right now. But keep an eye on it if it's something you're interested in trading. Meanwhile, NAOV hit that 1625, and then you have SXTP, that one as high as 441. That's come back in a little bit now. What else do we have here? Lunar coming back in after hitting that pre-market high and going up a penny. Looks like the market is. Are you seeing the market kind of come back in a little bit now?
Yeah, I'm seeing it come off the highs here. I wouldn't say that I'd call it coming back in, but it is indeed coming off those highs. Taking a little bit of a break there. Tick chart here, minus 18, so that's not really a terrible breakdown. And also just another quick peek at the advanced versus decliners. Those are still holding steady here, plus 2204 on that. Look at this. Anne-Marie here. So far, so good, Fairchild. We set sail for the South Seas travel for 18 days. Boy, Anne-Marie, that sounds awesome. I will reach out from there. Anne-Marie, sailing the world and still reaching out to our community here. You want to talk about dedication, that might redefine it. My sleep is wrecked, which is why I'm up at midnight. Let me know if you want any implied volatility moves. Anne-Marie, we will help foster your insomnia any chance we get. If there are anything that looks appealing to you or anything that you think is worth our chat knowing, yes, we want to know for sure. We want to know.
If she's not sleeping, I think she's ready to come on.
Hey, look, from Sydney. I'm going to laugh if she comes on one of these days from Sydney and goes, "Good day, 13." That to awesome. Me, I would just, no, anyway, that'd be awesome. That would be something else. NVIDIA, by the way, I wanted to really quickly mention this. I don't know how much we actually covered this early this morning. We were running through quite a bit here this morning. NVIDIA, look at this. The move yesterday out of the bottom end of the channel, boy, was that short-lived. Right back to our trusty yellow parallel channel here. Mm-hmm. What a technical move here on NVIDIA. Right down to the 500, clean bounce off it, right back into our channel here. I would assign a high value here, maybe 111. So I think that NVIDIA, maybe it pushes through that 116, 115 if it overshoots that middle line of the channel. But to me, it seems like that's where NVIDIA would stop. Caveat there is that if the market continues to rage, a rising tide is going to lift all boats. NVIDIA might trade higher than that. But that's kind of what I'm looking at here for an upside topping level, maybe 110 to 115. Hey, we got another one. Hey, Obadi, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Also from the land down under, for our friends in the future, as I like to say here, from Melbourne. Good stuff. Got a global audience going here. I am not against that at all. That's really sweet, actually. NAOV, I beg your pardon here. Trying to trade back up. Let me go back to the main workspace. I'm sorry I'm dancing around so much. Here is your NAOV, I think. There it is. Still holding 15, 16.25 the high print. We'll see if we can get that taken out. Oh, what else do we got around?
It's like volume's starting to wane a bit. Oh, here we go with the SPY and kind of pulling a little bit here. But as long as it holds above that 15% level at 521.25, it still could push up higher. But I think it might need to cool off a little bit.
S&P 500 SPY volume here, 27 million we're approaching. I feel like when we checked it at this time yesterday, 13, we were at like 40 million, and both of us were like, wow, that's high. And then we finished with which is just a huge volume day here. So looks like it's not as much volume as yesterday, but still pretty good. Hey, Robert, nice and sunny in Glasgow, Scotland, the home of our favorite adult beverage, right, 13?
Yes, sir.
Robert, let me ask you, as a native Scotsman, maybe you whatever, for someone in Scotland, is there a favorite Scotch that us Americans should be looking into? Let me know. Let me know what your pick is.
I'm gonna write that down with whatever his answer is.
13's like, I'm getting the pen. We're gonna be ready to go.
All right. Looks like the market is doing a little bit of selling, but still at the same time, not a whole lot and getting some support. Let's see what happens with the SPY around 521.25 if it gets down there.
Seeing a tweet here. Oops, that was the wrong ticker. Seeing a tweet here. I'm going to check my feed to check it here, but I'm seeing here nice size 2027 leap buyer in ticker NOW service now. See if I can figure out where that's at there. See if our option scanner caught anything for service now. Yep. There they are. There's your 2027 leap buyers. 740 the strike there. And crazy. January of 2027, 4 million in the first trade, 2.3 million in the next trade, in the second trade.
Steve,
man.
I do have the Lagavulin 16-year. And because I am a Nick Offerman fan, because his greatest character, Ron Swanson, love the character. I even have the Nick Offerman edition and the charred oak cask edition for Nick Offerman as well. I do like Lagavulin. That is a great one. NAOV with the 20 EMA pullback, says STFU.
Yeah, so those contracts were just super expensive, but aggressive nonetheless. Not sure I can infer anything. Just saw that cross the wire here. Okay.
Talisker has a good reputation.
Yeah.
On Isle of Skye.
Yep. Talisker is my favorite. Gave you the Robert Louis Stevenson quote the other day. Love it. Love it. NAOV coming back in now off of those 1625 highs, doing its best to hold on to 14. See if it's able to do that. SXTP, did not quite touch its VWAP, is trying to bounce from that area, though. We have a high print here, 440-ish. Kathy's AGL, this did break the VWAP, but it is trying to get some support here from the 15 EMA on the 5. Is there anything else I'm missing? VG, Venture Global. Okay, this nice little staircase higher. What was going on here? I think this is the first time I've looked at this one today. Energy stocks. Following OPEC's decision. This was from yesterday. Interesting.
So Robert, being that it's made in an Isla, is that peated Talisker? Just curious. All right.
It is. The Taliskers that I've had are pretty peated, smoky.
Okay. Excellent. Even though those are good cigar scotches.
Ooh. That's something you need to help me out with, our pairings there. I'm a noob when it comes to cigars. I'm a noob. All right. What do you folks see out there? Anything, any new trades here or any tickers that maybe we haven't looked at that are interesting to you? How's Apple holding up?
Well, that mover from yesterday, JNVR, that's halted to the upside. So here we go.
Apple curling up despite its issues here with China and the retaliatory measures we've seen from China here. Apple's still strong here today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to try to do here? I'm going to try to take a page from your book, 13, and I'm basically going to eyeball a trend line here. This, to me, one of the spots that we need to take out.
Okay. That looks good.
Okay. Cyril is mentioning O-Ban. That's not a ticker, right? That's a scotch.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Not one I'm familiar with. I'll have to add that to my. Oh my God, are those expensive? Okay. Cyril, let's go. I will take a look at that. Actually, I'll add that to my Costco list and see if Costco carries that. That'll be interesting.
I do have some peated ones, but my main go-tos are going to be Macallan's, Dalmore's, and Balvenies.
Doesn't sound like you're hurting there. SOXL 1076, that trade working. Good morning, Robert. Great to see you.
Hey, Robert.
Jay, okay, I must have missed this one. Jay, I'm sorry. VG, I posted earlier. It's a story trading name. Awesome. Saw some leap buys this morning and a buyer of the April 10 calls. Jay, thank you there. VG. The ticker VG, Venture Global here. Those 10 calls. Look at that acting like a magnet here, Jay. I wouldn't be surprised if we print them. That's really helpful information. The story trading guys are likely on this too. Okay, awesome. SOXL, new highs, 1081. Giddy up.
So, liquefied natural gas production facilities in Louisiana. I'm wondering if this is off the. I mean, I know you had the reasons earlier, but I wonder if this is also off of Trump's comments in the Oval Office about other countries having to buy their natural gas or oil, particularly the European Union. He was really on top of saying a lot of that, but that was also during when the market was open yesterday too. So,
and didn't we see that I thought we're talking about Scotch here today is just kind of rather amusing more than anything else. Didn't we see a headline that the European Union would not add bourbon to the tariff list? So they're smart over there. They know what they like. They're not gonna tariff bourbon. They still want their bourbon.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a trade there. I was just mildly amused by it.
It's really going to come down to Germany's attitude about the whole thing. They're going to be the loudest about these tariffs because they're the ones that have the largest trade imbalance with us. So not aside from China, I mean, Germany owes a lot of money to different countries.
Yeah.
So they don't want these tariffs. They're going to be the loudest about it. So I'd be kind of watching to see how they change their tune.
Okay. Just looking through some of the.
Oh man, we were just. What was Andy just saying about Navarro?
Yeah, and you know what? I actually saw this here. I didn't get the the commentary because I obviously have it muted. I did see that they on CNBC they were showing a tweet of Elon calling him a moron. I didn't see the sack of bricks, but interesting nonetheless there. NVIDIA here continuing to move higher. This is kind of slowed down a little bit. NYXH, what a disappointment that was from the movers list. GLXG, the China name, also sad trombone as that moves to the lows here. Sober could not break that 8 level that we had identified. That one's still on deck here. And SXTP completing its pull. Oh, not quite. Looks like it might be completing its pullback here. Robert, I've been spending some time away from the market. It's good to be back. Good to have you back. Look, I'll say this to any of you folks. Sometimes, especially when shit gets crazy, I'm just going to say it. Taking a step away can be really, really good for your mental health and can really kind of maybe make you a little bit sharper when you return. So stepping away, never a bad idea. I mean, only if it's temporary. Don't step away forever.
The mouth on you sometimes, man.
What's that?
The mouth on you sometimes. It was funny because you were hesitant to say shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's a family show here. It's a family show here. Saul reminding us, I can't believe that every time I joined this live, there is a conversation about Scotch bourbon. LOL, my kind of gig. Saul, all right. Get on board, boss. You sound like you're in the right spot here. Oh, I don't know what that says about us. We're talking about Scotch and bourbon at 10 o'clock in the morning, but here we are.
And since we're also talking about SOBR as being a trading vehicle, let me just remind everybody to drink responsibly.
Oh, that was a good tie-in.
Now, regarding the earnings, we are going to be coming up into earnings season. We have JP Morgan, reporting in a few days. That's one of the earliest banks to report. You're going to have, I think that's also like Bank of America, BlackRock, Delta Airlines. I think they also all report this week or next week.
JP Morgan here Friday before the market opens. What were the other tickers there that you had for me?
Bank of America is next week. Citigroup is next week.
Tuesday before market for Bank of America. Tuesday before market for Citi.
Delta, that's tomorrow. So they are, also kicking it off. And then I think, was it BlackRock? There's like a small cluster of Friday is BlackRock as well. So there's usually like a small cluster of financial institutions and Delta that usually start earnings season.
And remember, Delta, we got that headline here with RTX. I wonder if they're going to comment any more on that in that earnings sprint.
All right. So, Venture Global continues to push up now at 908. When I look to the left here on that one, by the way, thanks, Jay Rice, for mentioning this one. We're coming up to consolidation from the 3rd of April. All day, mostly we opened, went lower, consolidated for a good portion of the day, and went lower into the close. I would be keeping an eye on that area. That's going to be about 9. That's about where we are now, about 9:05 to about 9:25. There's some consolidation in that area could provide a little bit of resistance on this upside move we're getting here with VG.
Sweet one saying, China saying, quote, it will fight to the end, end quote, is a bit of a red flag, right? So I see where you're coming from with that, but I look at the market here today and I think to myself, how much of a red flag is that? You tell me. I personally think that I agree with Besant. Besant said that China is playing a losing hand right now.
Big
It
time.
sure feels like that to me. So
Big time. China needs the U.S. too badly. There's nobody that can replace the U.S. We're the largest net importer in the world. There's not the European Union, not the South America. There's no other country or collection of countries that can replace the U.S. We're just too big of a net importer.
More than 70% of products on wholesalers and retailers on Amazon are produced in China. Might have to look for some other products then.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're getting supply chains are moving. We're already seeing a lot of movement to other parts of Southeast Asia. You're going to be looking at places like Vietnam, Malaysia, Cambodia, Indonesia. All are going to, in some parts of the Philippines, all of them are going to be eating China's lunch.
Seeing a big bet on the LVS calls. 35 September calls here.
Oh, Jay, way more. GLXG is trying to find a bottom here. It could just be another one of the same situations we've been seeing from the pre-market into the open here, where it has an ugly knife, and then you see some green candles trying to recover, but then as soon as we get close to the top of that large red candle, it just knifes again. I'd wait for a clear sign of a bottom in GLXG if we're going to trade this one. This is the China pump.
The LVS calls here 31,000 contracts for a total of 10.85 million in this single trade. Those are the September 2025 35 calls LVS. See if that's 35 calls LVS. No position for me on that. I am looking at those though. Man, oh man.
Yes, that's a good point, Pete. I think that's kind of the thing that we've been saying here is, we're still anticipating some more downside in these markets. So I'd agree that being cautious is paramount. Absolutely.
I think anytime you're in uncharted territory like this, your capital preservation dictates that you be cautious. So I'm looking at this really quickly here, 13. I'm looking at this. Forgive me if I get something wrong here. I'm trying to go through this live here. I am seeing that there was in the June contract, the 45 calls coming into today, there were 50,000 contracts held open on LVS in the June 45 call. I see today a volume of 48,000. And now I'm also seeing the volume into the September call there of 31,000. I'm almost wondering if this trader rolled from that 45 June call into the 35 September call. So I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but just kind of looking at that I'm trying to piece together that large options trade here. Looks to me that they rolled out of June 45s and into September 35s.
I think that I'm not going to comment on this one trader, but I think that one of the things we've been talking about with how if we are headed towards a recession, you might see some consumers lean toward their vices. So this would kind of be in line with that. Going to Las Vegas, I lost my job. Not feeling great. I need to go and get a pick me up. Let's go to Vegas, says your friends. All right, let's do it. That's, you're going to see probably more gambling. You're going to see maybe more consumption of alcohol and tobacco, just those kind of things. Those are the things that consumers go to when recessions hit.
The vice trades. Yep, the vice trades, as we like to say. Okay. Gatto saying, hey, Benzinga guys, how do we subscribe to you? Well, there's a couple of different ways. First of all, you can subscribe to this channel for a cost of $0 by clicking the subscribe button. That way you'll get notified every time that we go live. You can join us here every day. But perhaps more importantly, we do have a suite of different services And without me just saying you should do this, I'd actually like to learn more about how you trade and what you're looking for before finding what the right service is. We have a bunch of them, whether they're trade alert services or if you want a newswire like Benzinga Pro, which you see here. So what I would say is you should reach out to our onboarding specialist, James. He is really good at helping people figure out which subscription makes the most sense for them. He's also really good at finding deals. So let me give you his email and his phone number here, and I would encourage you to reach out. I can introduce you to him if you email me, but I'm just going to send you directly to the source that can help you. Right there in the chat. Reach out to James today. I can tell him that you're looking. He can go over our entire product offering and get you in the right one. Otherwise, you can just join us here for free every day. We do this every day the market is open.
And we have a good time.
Yes, we do.
Now, one thing I think that I'd like for you to take a look at here, and you tell me, the SPY. Remember that 524.61 level that a previous all-time high that I mentioned?
Yep.
Go to a 5-minute chart. Tell me what you see there. It looks like this is running into some big resistance right at that previous all-time high, putting in a series of upper shadows that may indicate that this is trying to roll over here. You might have to zoom in a little bit so that everybody watching can see better. But
so these are the wicks that you're talking about right up here, right?
Yeah. And if you put in that 524.61 level, that previous all-time high, you can see that all three attempts did print slightly over it, but were rejected. I think this is telling.
Interesting.
I think this could be telling us that the market's hit a temporary high here and might be turning around.
Okay. Yaz, love this. James gave me an awesome deal on my subscription. Clarence, good morning, Clarence. Great to see you again. James is a great guy. Boom.
Excellent.
Love to see that.
Palantir high of day. Yeah, see, Arden, I don't think that's true at all. They don't want to be left alone. They want to rule the world. And if that weren't true, they would not have done their Belt and Road Initiative. They want to control everything. They don't want to be left alone. They want to control everything. They don't want a seat at the table. They don't want to be head of the table. They want to own the table.
All right. Things did kind of take a break here. You were highlighting it with those wicks there on the S&P chart. I'm looking around here. NASDAQ is off those highs, but not breaking down, at least not yet, knock on wood. Dow, same deal here. How's Bitcoin do? Okay, Bitcoin actually is breaking. Where's Jay Diamond at? Where's Jay Diamond at here today? Bitcoin moving from the 80,500 level, over 1,000 points to the downside here. Bitcoin new lows here on the day. So we'll see if Bitcoin is foreshadowing of things to come here.
Market coming in now, starting to lose some levels.
Sorry, I'm just looking at some more headlines here real quick. USTR Greer, China has not indicated that it wants to work towards reciprocity. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Looks like the market, a lot of these names are starting to come in. Going to be interesting to see how far down. It might be a good short-term trade for the Q or SQQQ.
Let me put that up here. I'm going to step away for just one sec. 13. I will be right back. Here is your SQQQ. Actually, it looks like a bottom might be put in. BRB.
All right. And meanwhile, while he's doing that, let's take a look at some of these other names here. Looks like VG did hit that high of 910, kind of coming in a little bit. Lunar lost its VWAP. Oops, hold on a second. Newsmax still kind of putting in that bear flag formation, but and not able to recapture VWAP. This is going to have to show some kind of direction soon here. Looks like to me it still could be down, but we'll see what happens. There's always a possibility it could break out to the upside, but I just don't see that at the moment. NAOV still kind of chomping around here up in the 13, 14 area. TRNR hasn't done a whole lot today except go sideways, but it looks like it's trying to break over some of these session highs and get into the pre-market levels. APDN, that's Still dealing with 160, it looks like. What else? SXTP. Since getting 441, that's come in and gone sideways. Still holding above VWAP. It looks like it's trying to push higher, but I don't know how much more it's got left in it. Maybe it pushes over 441. Maybe it gets up there and reverses. I do not know exactly with SXTP, but the volume's going to have to improve if it's going to go higher than 441. GLXG, that's just the same China pump. This thing's probably headed to $1, maybe lower.
Okay. See if
yes, Tame Craziness. They do want to block, not BlackRock, but they're trying to block. I'm trying to think. I think it's. I'm going to say it's CK Hutchinson, I believe is the name of the company that's trying to sell those port locations in Panama to BlackRock. They're trying to block that. Yes. Average Chinese citizen maybe wants to be left alone, but there's history of expansionism. Yeah, I mean, we can draw on a lot of history when it comes to that, but for now, I think when it comes to what they want, it's that they want to have the largest economic presence in the world. Is Matt Malley's trade room worth it? I heard he did well recently. Well, what do you think, Brian?
So, okay, look, I am going to try to remove my own personal bias from this. I like Matt a lot. I'm grateful that Matt shares his time with us. He's been great for our company as well. So just understand where my bias lies. As far as you guys talking about, he's been doing well recently. It has been a masterclass. Okay. It has been a masterclass. He has been like here. I actually have a mention here from a trade that he gave out, I believe on Friday. Yeah, he gave out a trade last week. He was selling the April 11 SQQQ calls. Calls were up 2,400% that he closed that trade out. There were a number of others here. I'm sorry I don't have them all here lined up for you. He has been smoking it. TZA, SQQQ. He had an EWJ yesterday that was 100% overnight. Now, past performance is not indicative of future gains, but if you've listened to Matt talk at all, you know exactly how much this guy is plugged in. And the other really cool thing about his alerts is he does a really good job describing his position size. So it's not as if you see a new alert and you're like, I'm going to go all in full port here. No, he tells you why he's taking it and how he's positioning it. And that can actually help you deduce what he actually feels about that. What I will say, we have an offer here for his service here that has a 7-day trial on the front of it. So if you kind of want to figure it out and see for yourself, go ahead and click that link I just threw in the chat. I personally do think I've been following some of his trades as well. It's been very, very helpful. And like I said, super bright guy that gives his time to us.
Jay, yes, I believe that is true that they did block it. Fink's still saying, Larry Fink from BlackRock still saying that he believes this deal will go through.
Average total of Matt's gains year to date is above 100%. I wish I could say that about myself, but I can't. Matt he is a machine. He is something else. So let me know. I definitely want everyone to benefit. And like I said, I've said the same thing like 3 times. I'm sorry. Matt's just really, really sharp. Really, really sharp guy. Okay.
Just a reminder here, it is 10:37. Volume should be waning off, maybe even evaporating a bit here. So some of these moves that we're getting, look at SXTP with another move just now. Some of these moves may not have the follow through we're looking for. They may not, break out or break down like we're expecting. So just be careful with this. We're losing some of the volume as people go into lunch.
CoreWeave. So we actually were talking about CORZ earlier with Adam here today. CORZ dropped a little bit. It's really only down a penny here today. CoreWeave, CRWV, which is what this is tied to here. This actually rolled over. Still green, holding on to 2.7% gain. This is actually rolled over from the highs here, down 3 points from those highs.
This thing next to
Robert,
around.
3D, RL, lots of positive feedback there on Matt from the group. Really good stuff, guys.
We have to present that to him the next time he's on. Okay, so what's everybody looking at right now? It looks
I'm
like
still
Richard
watching
Bobo.
LDS. I'm still since that unusual option buy that I flagged from you. I didn't follow it. No position for me. I'm watching this thing tick up from that. We basically moved from 39.60 to 33 here almost. Those calls are ticking up here. That's an interesting one.
VG coming back in pretty heavily now. That area, that consolidation area that I was pointing out, that seems to have been where the reversal was at, right about there. So let's see how far down this thing goes. Looks like it's through VWAP right now, which isn't great. I don't know where this ends up going down to. I don't know if the move is over or not, but if it doesn't recapture VWAP, I think we do head lower. TRNR popping up to VWAP. This is the one that's acquiring Wattbike.
Okay, let me put that on screen here. TRNR. Sorry, I'm handling another request here. Right at the VWAP. 115 is going to be the spot there.
Sir, yes, sir. All right, what else is looking good? Man, that TQQQ was looking great. It's starting to look like it might be weakening, though. What's the SPY looking like again? Do we get back to those upper shadows? Not quite. Not quite back up there. We did get a little bit of selling, but it looks like buyers stepped in and tried to push this thing back up. Yep. Seeing that too, Robert. Yep. SLSN, watching it all over the board. Is this that one that we had a hard time with our broker?
Yeah. SLSN.
Wow. This thing's down to 256 after hitting 24.15. I don't think I'd want to even look at this thing.
No, and you know what? Now that you're reminding me here, those IPOs, let's see if any of those have opened. FATN, good Lord. FATN is your ticker there. That's Fat Pipe. That is not opened here. What does Fat Pipe do? Pioneer and enterprise class application aware secure SD-WAN solutions for organizations, including enterprises, communication service providers. It sounds like cybersecurity to me.
Yeah, Fat Pipe, like bandwidth.
Yeah. It is engaged in delivering principal enterprise class networking software technology. So maybe it's not cybersecurity, but there might be another add to that. Fat Pipe here, price was $5.75. This is not open yet. The other one that we had from the list there was Runyon. That's probably pronounced wrong. Edi Technology. Look, I'm here. You guys want to see it? There, right here. RUANYUN. I'm not sure how it's properly pronounced. Ticker there is RYET. We'll see if that opened here yet today.
Rhymes with
what
Funyun.
That is. Rhymes with what?
Funyun.
Funyun.
Thanks, RL. I appreciate that. Not all the time, but I try to be as much as I can.
Funny story about Funyuns. When I was a kid, I loved Funyuns. And then the day that I decided I liked girls, I stopped liking Funyuns. It just does a number on the breath. You just can't even do anything about it. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. Runyon Edi Technologies primarily engaged in providing online academic exercise question banks with AI capabilities, online classes and homework, and on-demand lectures and evaluations that cover all K-12 subject fields and grade levels. This is an education level stock here. Is this up? Here we go. If you go to the homepage, Chinese education name.
Mm-hmm. That's typically what you're going to see when it comes to education stocks are usually Chinese names.
So there you go. We got to the bottom of that one pretty quick. Thank you, Benzinga Pro. Neither of these have opened yet, by the way. And I know that the Chinese one here, people are probably interested in it because of what we saw with Top W. What was the other one right before that?
Oh.
The one that went absolutely ham.
How long ago?
Oh God, it was like a week or two ago. Chat, help me out.
Yeah, I can't remember that one. By the way, TRNR moving through its VWAP.
Jane, thanks, Jane. Oh. Oh, that's funny. Okay.
So all the girls are trying to keep the vampires away.
Look,
Well, actually, that might not be a good idea.
It was one of those. That was one of those things where after I said it, I was like, "Oops, probably shouldn't have." But
yeah.
I run open here. ZVSA. Is anyone on this one?
Oh yeah, WTF? Thank you. How could we forget
WTF? How did I forget? Now I'm mad at myself. How did I forget WTF? Man. We even made jokes about the next one being STFU and LOL. Oh man.
ROFL. Those are
real. I could. I tried to say it out loud there, Robert, for you.
Jesus, thinking about it. Let's hope that that's not the case. That's a little scary. Genetic engineering. Funyuns and 7-Eleven nacho cheese.
Have you looked at all into the Rogan episode with Ben Lamb, the guy that recreated dire wolves? I know you guys are hitting me with the technicality. They're not actually dire wolves. It's gray wolves with some genes changed around. Fascinating podcast. I encourage everyone to check that out as you have time. TRNR did move through its VWAP. We talked about that at 115. That has moved through now on pretty good volume too. Watch for that to expand. SOXL here holding at about 1050.
Now, to quote Jurassic Park, and it comes to this, I guess when quotes dire wolves situation. These scientists are so preoccupied with whether or not they didn't stop to think if they should. What's the purpose of doing this?
You will always win me over with the Jeff Goldblum quote. That is for sure.
Yeah, because life finds a way.
Finds a way.
That's the best quote out of the entire movie. The was so unnecessary, but he did it anyway.
He knows what he's doing.
All
right. So folks, again, I know we've got kind of like a changing landscape around here with the itinerary here for today with Anne-Marie traveling. Again, Anne-Marie kind enough and awesome enough, frankly, to join us from her vacation here in the chat. We won't be having Anne-Marie's segment. 13 and I will be bringing you home. We'll land the plane. We'll make sure that you got plenty of time there. Now, we do have an all access coming up here. So we're going to talk to Dan here coming up in just a couple of minutes. We're going to see how he did on his bracket with Florida winning last night. And then we're going to go to an all access. Dan's going to throw it back here after that. 13 and I will land the plane for you into 11:30. So that's what's going on here. Then we're going to send you over to Paul Meeks. Don't forget. Paul Meeks right after us here today. So got about 4 more minutes here before all access, but we're coming back. So don't go anywhere.
Yeah, and SPY starting to come down a little bit more. So good mention, sweet one with SQQQ moving. It's seeing the opposite of what the SPY's doing, or what the Qs are doing. So that's one name to trade for the direction. Let's look at some of these other names here. So yeah, VG, that was the high for the moment. I don't know if it's going to get back up here later today, but it is beneath VWAP now. Jay, let me know how that trade worked for you. Oh, hey, FATN is open. That's Fat Pipe, right?
Yes, FATN, is that open here?
Yeah, it's what whole 9 yards are saying.
Yeah, I'll go to that here real quick. That is open here. It's open and halted. Okay, here we go.
And here we go.
Yeah, that's a good one. Producer, can you load that meme that you just created into stream or Restream here so we can share it with the group? Because that's my favorite line from Jurassic Park, modified for the current situation. That's pretty class right there. Throw that in there. Let me know if you can get it up there. I got to keep. No, you'll see. You'll see.
Okay.
You'll see. Just okay. Here we go.
Fat pipe with a very bullish opening candle here. Looks like it's going to head higher.
This is some of my producer's finest work.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, that's a good one too. No one cares.
Dotson. We got Dotson here. Nobody cares. This time, bringing the direwolves into it. You gotta love
direwolves. We got direwolves here.
Nobody cares.
The anthropologists don't care.
Oh, 13. We do stuff. We do stuff on the fly like that. Okay.
Yeah, market's getting a pull here. Getting a pull.
Okay, I still got fat N up here. Let's see.
Hold on to your butts. That's it.
Good Samuel L. Jackson line.
Market coming down to that 15% correction level, trying to find support there. Looks like this may end up going lower, but we'll see what happens. This candle isn't going to be the determining one yet. Meanwhile, most things in a sideways pattern here for the moment. Some of these movers from this morning, like the speculative names, those are starting to come in a little bit. The space looks like quantum might be coming in a little bit too. All right. The only NYSE XRP ETF I see is XXRP. That's tamed craziness. Hey, take care, Kevin Robinson. Thank you for hanging out.
Yeah, take care, Kev. ZVSA is halted here. That one we've seen move before. Yep, here we go. This one was moving earlier. So it's a penny stock to dollar territory, now at a halt.
So I'm just looking up these. Okay, so when it comes to XXRP, this is a 2x directional ETF to the long side. I think that's just the only difference here. But if you're looking for like different ETFs for this particular crypto, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be very much help because I don't know all the different cryptos that have ETFs to begin with, nor do I know which ones are listed for exchanging on NASDAQ or NYSE. Sorry, I can't help. But to answer your question, I don't see any others either. ZVSA, what was going on with that one?
This just popped into a halt here, ZVSA.
Okay, did that have news or something?
I didn't see any on that. Let me check it again, though. I might have just kind of mixed that up. Here you go on ZVSA. Yeah, it did. Sorry, I mixed this one up with something else. So here's what's going on. Zyversa Therapeutics CEO recent Parasol recommendation to accelerate drug development for FSGS announces a phase 2 proof of concept trial for VAR200 in diabetic kidney disease and discusses potential impact on kidney disease treatment and commercial opportunities. This is your news post here. ZVSA stock is up 147% here in its upside halt.
Jeez, that's a big move. That's a real big move. Let's see where this may end up going.
Anne-Marie, take care of yourself. Get some rest.
Take care, Anne-Marie. Enjoy the koalas. All right, so I do have levels for ZVSA. Next one I have up here is going to be 178, followed by 192. I have levels going all the way up. Jeez. All the way up to 10.
Wow.
Let's see what we get. Seems to be bouncing. Growth is going to be slow to okay, maybe growth comes back, but inflation is baked in, which is hardly a relief. Yeah, a lot of different things happening here. We're all there's too many cooks. Too many cooks will spoil the pot. So Newsmax just likes to kind of hang out and go sideways underneath its VWAP. That's been the case lately. At least this morning, after losing that level. Hasn't been able to recapture it. CoreWeave heading lower. NAOV got support from its VWAP. That's trying to push back up. Keep an eye on that one. That could provide some more upside. Same thing with TRNR. That might be able to also push back if it holds its VWAP. It really is
these bottom wicks here to that 15 EMA. This might be setting up for another one.
Yeah, I'm thinking we might get another push up, but we need better volume than this. Yeah, and then TRNR, that's if this can hold above VWAP, that's looking like we might see some more upside there. APDN bouncing off its VWAP right now. Don't know if that's going to reverse. Looks like it's running into some trouble in the low 160s. It's the second time it's been up here, once in the pre-market, the other just recently in the regular session. Only got as high as 162. Which is just a couple cents higher than what it was in the pre-market. Seems like 160 is a big resistance level for APDN.
Sure looks like almost like a double top formation there going back to the pre-market on APDN.
Almost. I'd be a little bit concerned with that one. Maybe set some stops just in case, if you have not done so already.
TTD, this is one that we had taken a look at. We kept saying that this thing was hunting for a bottom. One of the things that we had talked about on a potential long side trigger here for this trade would be a break of the trend line. Well, look how robust that trend line has been. It is still holding up here. This thing went lower from the last time that we talked about it here. Again, still hunting for a bottom here on TTD. My best guess for you here, a retest of 40 or 40 and a half. I am seeing puts come in for that. Sorry, 13.
And you were saying it's bouncing off the trend line that we drew. That one.
It's staying under this trend line here. We had talked about. I think it was a discussion with Mark where we had talked about your trade setup and your trigger can be different. And one of the things that he was trying to get across was that you can lower your risk by waiting for the trade to actually confirm it. One of the tickers we looked at here was TTD, and I believe, if I recall correctly, we're talking about this breaking that trend line to really kind of show that it might be reversing. We just haven't done it yet. We've actually moved lower.
The trend line that I've drawn here, we just tested yesterday when we had the lows getting put in. That if you want, you can draw that trend line by starting with the July 2023 highs. And drawing it through, you can see like it has a series of peaks. Just draw it through those. Just make sure you draw it through the February 15th, 2024 high, right before that gap, and just keep it going. You can see that we just bounced off this trend line. So, you're going to start with July, late July of 2023.
Oh, 2023. That was probably my problem here. Here's July. Okay.
Yeah, and then draw it through the high of February 15th, 2024, which is just before that gap. And we're drawing to the downside. Yep.
What? So
yeah, right before.
Oh, right here. I got you.
There you go.
Got you. 13. Way to go.
That trend line, I've been waiting for the price to get down there. Great to see that bounce. I think that trend line is not finished yet. We might see some more price action if we don't get a reversal. So, and we did have a death cross back in early March with this one. So could be some time before we end up seeing this come back up to these triple digits. Oh, nice. Thanks, whole 9 yards. Fat pipe now up to 880.
Oh my.
This is probably going to have some pretty good moves today.
I mean, hasn't it already? Didn't this thing open at like 575? Your opening price here for Fat N, or the price of the IPO, up to 880 now. Fat pipe. Didn't Fat Tire used to make a beer, Fat Tire Ale? I feel like that is a beer that I've had plenty of times.
Yep. I don't know what happened to it. SQQQ really doing well right now. Ever since we figured out that the SPY was, and I know that it's not, what this ETF is based off of, but I like to watch SPY because it's
me too
kind of thing. And it was showing us that it was kind of topping out of that previous all-time high and then rolling over. Roll over did it ever. That really did roll over. Those upper shadows, man, they can really be good indicators of when the
they sure can, man.
No, Yeah, I don't know what's going on with TTD. They had some other issues. I think at least at this stage we already knew why they came down initially, but I don't know what other issues they're having. But it still looks to me like this is not going to be recovering anytime soon. CVSA, that's pushing up to. I actually just hit a high of 164. So getting pretty close to my first level of 178. See what we get.
Rakesh, Ryan, can you give downside levels for SPY? Sure. And 13, you actually might have some more in there. You can help Rakesh out as well. Downside levels. One of the things that we were looking for here today, the big downside level, pretty much the only one that I had on my radar, was whether or not we were going to close above this 500-day moving average. That value is 509.06. Now we're currently up here at 518, so we would have to fall pretty precipitously to get down there, but I'm not going to rule that out. So first level downside here, 509.06. Next level is going to be I guess you could call it 500. The round numbers really seem to come into play. So let's throw 500 out there. But also that 20% pullback level down there at 490.49, and then the Andy pullback level, as I've named it here, down at 480. These would be the levels that I'm kind of looking at. So 509.06, 500, 490.49, and 480. 13, do you have any other downside levels that you're looking at here for today?
From here, at this price of 518 and change, my downside levels are going to be 515.50, 512, the 500-day SMA, the 500 psychological level, and then the 20% bear market level of 490.58.
Okay.
With that, you have the 2022 high.
Okay. Quick question here, the whole 9 yards. I'm new to trading. How do you enter an IPO at the open? I was watching this and missed the opening price. Okay, so a couple of things here. So number one, if you want to participate in an actual IPO, as far as I'm aware, at least this is what I have to do for Thinkorswim, you have to request that via your broker. They may not even allot you shares, and in a lot of cases, you can't pick how many shares. You can say, oh yeah, I'd love to own 200 of this, and they might say, well, here's 36 shares that we were able to find for you. So participating in an actual IPO requires you to reach out to your broker in one way or another. Now, as far as buying it here, whatever the IPO price is, a lot of the times you'll see it open above that price. That opening print is the first thing that you can buy. And so one of the things that you have to make a decision on for being an IPO trader, are you going to buy the opening print no matter what? Or are you going to kind of wait that out to shake out? And the fat pipe here looks like it went straight up. So maybe that would have worked if you were able to get a fill there. I'm not sure how difficult that was because it looked like it happened really, really fast. But what I would say, I used to try to do this too. I've had the best success trading IPOs when I kind of wait out that first 5 minutes. For ones like that just kind of run away, I end up not trading those. But for a lot of other ones, they end up kind of bottoming and then maybe turning around. CoreWeave was a really good example of this. If we go back, let me actually pull that up here. 13, if you have anything, just shout it out here. Here's CoreWeave's IPO. Actually, didn't we have it on April 2nd? Didn't we have the first day here? Anyway, you can see, yeah, this I have to be missing. Yeah, here we go. So here you go. CoreWeave opened initially, came back in, then went to this $42 high, and then came back in for one day, and then it was that following day. This was actually a fairly decent trade setup. So I think you can still actually do pretty well with IPOs if you're patient. I think if you're going for stuff right out of the gate, you're kind of exposing yourself to some risk that I don't really think that you need to have. I'm not a huge IPO trader, just passing along some of the things I've learned.
Do we need to move over to?
You know what? I think that we are actually. I don't think we're ready for that. I think that's still in limbo. I've been watching the alerts here. No, I didn't miss anything. No one slapped me through the screen yet either. That's always a good sign.
Okay, just want to make sure we weren't making any mistakes here. But yes, Elon. CPI is on Thursday, the 10th. That could be the first test of Trump's policies to see if the inflation is coming down like he says he is, or it says it is. I'm not making any predictions on what CPI is going to show us. I did see that fuel prices did get a short-term lift in March, so we might see some, a reflection of that in CPI, but since the tariffs came into play, it has crude has really cratered, really gone down.
Sweet one. I like this comment here. The better way to participate in an IPO is starting a company and take it public. That way you get to sell. I think that's tongue in cheek, but that's correct, right? If you're part of the IPO, you probably have shares at 0 or some ridiculously low price. That's good though. Sweet one. Good stuff.
Looks like there's a bit of a recovery trying to happen here in the markets. Still don't think we're going to get back up over the 15% correction level in SPY quite yet. Might go up to test it, but I'm not certain we're going to get back up to where we were at the highs. Looks like some of the space stocks trying to get a bounce. Some of these other movers trying to bounce as well after selling, going down to their VWAPs. Some of them losing their VWAPs.
Looks like a lot of these stocks look very similar to the SPY chart, where we traded up in the pre-market, came up to whatever resistance level that was for that individual name, and kind of backed off of this. Now, no breakdown yet. Breath's still good across the board, but it looks like a lot of these putting in very similar moves. Seem to be trading in tandem. NAOV trying to recapture its 15 EMA on the 5. SOXL here sitting at 1046.
Yeah, not a whole lot of movement. Volume is noticeably really.
Yeah, it sure has.
This is going to be the kind of thing where you may just want to be patient or just wait. I mean, this is like I was saying yesterday. This is the kind of time of the day where when we don't have a whole lot of volume, things aren't really having the follow through or making the big moves. This is a good time to stretch your legs, go do something else, and maybe even conduct a little bit of research into some of the things you want to be in. Because I don't want to trade a lot of these liquid names that have no movement.
VIX here sitting at 39, so we're actually beneath 40 here. It is up off the lows, but it have really kind of come in from that 60 high print that we got. And then Bitcoin rolling over to the lows here, 78,600, and actually looking like it might try and break lower.
Robert, maybe even you might know, Ryan, but do you know when the Anduril IPO is? Because that one's going to be an awesome trade.
Oh, yeah. Palmer Lucky's Anduril. Yeah. No, I don't know when that is. That's another one. We talked about Cerebras and Databricks. That Anduril one would be another one that I'd be looking at. That Palmer Lucky podcast with Sean Ryan is just awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. What they're going to reveal. Looking forward to it. I don't think that what they were talking about they've revealed, have they?
No, I don't think so.
That's going to be crazy. Looking forward to it. See you in HH. Tom showed video of Chinese soldiers captured in Ukraine. Yes, Bernard, that's crazy stuff. That's not going to help them on their the tariff negotiation argument, whatever you want to call it. That's not going to help them at all.
I dubbed it a fiasco earlier.
Yes.
You're saying Fat Tire beers from my home state of Colorado. Let's go.
I haven't seen Fat Tire in a while. Are they still around? ZVSA, that's starting to get some volume here. Looking for another move up here. Meanwhile, SPY starting to put in some lows of the regular session.
SPY 517. We'll see if it ends up giving that up. Remember, 509, one of those levels we're looking for.
That's a good question, whole 9 yards, and I'm not sure that we would see a bunch of movement just on this news, because this news already came out, and I don't know what the China stocks did. It's a good question. I don't have the answer to it, but I think that it may not be as prominent as we would think. It would have to be something that I think Trump says in response to this, if that makes sense. ZVSA halt up. Yeah, you're right. It is going right for that regular session high. Still looking for 178. That's the earliest level that I have. Fat tire still around. Good to hear.
Well, I'll tell you what. I know the market moved down here a little bit. S&P futures, by the way, pretty much just moved back to the VWAP here, 52.27 and a quarter. Everything seems to just the flow seems to have slowed down here. Don't see much on the X streets. My other trading group, not a whole lot going on.
Looks like SPY is heading lower now, coming down for that towards that 1550 level I'm looking for. And 9 yards with another good question. Would traders consider the participation in the war and the tariff war have a sentiment crossover? So we did see that in 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, that hit a lot of different parts of the market, because there's a lot of things that we get out of Ukraine. The world does. So it rattled some silver markets, some materials markets, wheat markets. It rattled some of those markets, and it ended up leading for the broader market to come down a little bit more than 20% before it recovered. So I think that when it comes to war, there's going to be some market effects, but as time goes on, it's going to get forgotten about or just not paid attention to as much. And that's something that we've seen with the Russia-Ukraine war. As this has gone on, less attention is being paid on that, and the market ripped to new all-time highs. So initially, yes, you are going to see some of that the moves from war. As far as tariffs war and it being a crossover, I already think that you're seeing that in the market now. We've already had a lot of big downside happening as a result of these tariffs, and I don't think that. I think your question is with the war that's in Ukraine and the tariff war right now, are we going to see more downside with the combination of the two? It's certainly possible, but I think a lot of what's happened in Ukraine has already been kind of, I guess, priced into the market. But this tariff war is still an ongoing thing. I don't know. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough, right? I think you're talking about a whole bunch of different moving pieces here. Mm-hmm. I still believe that I still believe that the war is going to get resolved here in 2025. Maybe I'm being naive, but I still believe that that's the case. And I don't think that's necessarily going to coincide with any relief on tariffs. So I don't. This is a really good question. I'm not sure how these two things are going to interact. I would kind of be looking at them in separate buckets personally. But anyway,
yeah, I think so.
Let me answer another question here. First of all, LAES, we were saying Sergeant Sexy here mentioning that there was news here this morning. It was from earlier, so that news has been out. However, Tiger T asking here, where do you get your circuit breaker info from? Really good idea. And so what I have here, part of the platform that you're seeing me use is Benzinga Pro. Basically, I'm using a scanner, unusual option flow, and then the details tool here is showing me a chart and a bunch of other information. But I'm also monitoring and counting session high and low prints, and I'm also monitoring halt and resumes. So I have a signals tool tucked into the bottom here. Instead of making you squint, let me actually just show you a signals tool in all of its glory, if you will. One of the tools here in Pro has a number of different signals that basically get reported in real time as they happen here. Price spike, which can be up or down, option activity, block trades, halt and resumes, which is what you're asking about, opening gaps, highs and lows, and these highs and lows have session highs, a filtered day high series, and a 52-week high and low. So basically what I've done is I've checked on halt and resume, and I've unchecked all of the other signals. What I have here now is a chronological list of all of the halts and all of the resumptions with a timestamp and also with a count. Now, the description field here will also tell you the reason why it's halted when it can be discerned. So I am relying on my platform to report when halts or when a stock is halted and when a stock is resumed, and you'll often hear me read those. This is really important, especially for me, because if we're looking at a bunch of stocks here and a stock enters a 5-minute halt, I don't necessarily want to just leave it on screen there halted. I kind of want to flip around to some other things, and this tool then reminds me when it's resumed. Good question.
Yeah, and to the degree that these things get these wars get priced into the market, like we could take the example of Ukraine, and what they were supplying globally to trade, and when you remove that supply chain from the market, then you're going to get a rebalance of pricing with to the point where Ukraine is kind of excluded from the equation. So it's to that degree where you would see a lot of pricing in of the markets when you take the export out of the market because they're now engaged in war. That's what essentially the pricing is. It's a change in supply and demand. You had the demand, you had the supply. Country goes into war, supply is going to suffer. So, but demand is still there, so that decreases prices, makes things more expensive. Markets don't like expensive things. It's going to pull prices down.
SPY continuing to pull back here, losing that 516 into a 515 handle.
Yeah, 515.50, right down to it.
So that the volume dry up really coincides with this move down here at 43 million shares here this early in the morning on SPY, though.
To be technical, 515.58 was the low we just got from this move down. I'm looking at 515.50 as my level, but close enough. Maybe we get a reverse here. It's the RSI on the 5-minute chart now is under 35. So we could see a bounce, but I wouldn't be surprised if we continued lower.
ZVSA open and halted.
All right.
So here's the other thing that I'm able to do with this tool. You can see that the halt was resumed at 11:12:31 and was rehalted at 11:12:59. Stock was open for 28 seconds before it rehalted.
Well, GLXG went to $1 and didn't go lower, but hasn't gone much higher.
Nope. Kind of a disappointment there.
That one kind of pretty much right in line with what we were expecting. SXTP, that after losing VWAP, came down to about where the pre-market high was and is going sideways for the time being. Looking around and seeing I'm just gonna look at some of these movers that we were talking about this morning, see if anything's on the mend or the up and up. Very, very low volume, folks.
Fat N, by the way, halted to the upside yet again here, 968. Let me check RYET, the other ETF that we were expecting. That one not open yet. PTIR, that's the Palantir levered ETF, 2x long. Top W, that was the rug pull Chinese IPO that we got last week. That looks like that's gearing here again.
SPY heading lower beneath that 515.50 level, looking for support down at 512 next. SQQQ doing well. Fat N showing 11 open.
Wow. So you're seeing something on the level 2 there that says there's a bidder at 11. Oops, I typed in the wrong ticker there. See, that I don't get in my broker. Let me see if, yeah. Let's see. Yep. No, it's open now. It's open and it's 12:16 and it's going to rehalt.
Wow.
Well, here's another one.
Yep. And the float is low enough to do this even more. And ZVSA, 179 after I was mentioning that 178. So there's one level cleared. Next one I have is 192.
Bitcoin, by the way, staircase down all the way. Pretty much very, very little bounces here. This is pretty much from the open here this morning. Moved from 80,000 to below 78.5. Apple totally pulling back here as well. So market pullback here continuing. I got to like to say we set you up for this one. We did a pretty good job setting up yesterday and today here.
I don't know if it's if Jameson Greer is really directing the market price action, but he's been talking a lot this morning, and he's been talking a lot about
every time I hear his name, I think of Jim Greer from the Tom Clancy series, and it just makes me happy. Good old James Earl Jones from Hunt for Red October.
Greer's saying too many countries are dependent on exports to the U.S. Yep. There's countries that literally have economies because of the U.S. All right, so ZVSA halted again after unhalting. 194 was the high, so it cleared 192, but it pulled after making that high and halted to the downside. 169 is the last price.
Boeing, we got first quarter deliveries here from Boeing. Deliveries with a total of 130 commercial airplanes, programs, and 26 defense, space, and security programs. Boeing here holding plus 4%, although it has moved down from the highs.
You mentioned that their Q1 delivery announcement?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Oh, how's BRKB doing today?
That's a good question. He's got to be, like I was saying yesterday, got to be licking his chops with the amount of cash that's ready to go here.
Yeah, and that was something I was kind of pondering for a little while. Is what would he buy?
Yeah, it was a good question last night. I don't know. I'm not sure what he's looking into, but.
And I think the last ones I can remember that he was getting into was SIRI, Sirius, and I think it was Oxy, right? He just kept buying more and more of that. Mm-hmm. Oxy, I think he's not having a great time with Oxy right now. I don't know for a fact, but based on where he was buying in 2022, 3, and 4, he's under with those positions. And Oxy just getting hammered. Where does this end up going down to? Maybe Oxy finds support at 35. But yeah, if you take a look at Oxy, I mean, look at a daily chart, this thing not looking great. Let's see, Greer, LA Raiders.
CRMD, I don't really see a whole lot here. This might just be, you were kind of saying it earlier, 13. This might just kind of be a sit on your hands deal until something presents itself.
Or, always go back to these directional ETFs. Those have been working very well.
Yeah, those really have. I've had a lot more confidence trading those. Tweet one, if it's been almost a week and not a single country has reached a deal yet and 70 plus countries have called, does that mean 70 plus weeks to finish the deals? No, I don't think you can linearly look at that. The other thing is that, clearly Trump is operating from the position of power right now. And I don't think that I'm not going to say that I'm as good of a deal maker as Trump. I don't think you give away your leverage that early on. To me, this all makes sense.
Yeah, it's not going to take a weekend. It's probably not going to take a month. It's going to take some time.
Yeah.
There are going to be some really easy ones to resolve. Israel looks like that's a pretty easy one. Japan probably going to be another easy one. They
also said this morning that they were going to prioritize Japan and South Korea.
Yeah.
That was actually a news post from this morning. So
you have some that are going to be really easy to resolve, and then there's going to be some others that will be very challenging, and those are going to likely be Germany and China at the top. ZVSA done. I don't know. This could just be another pull before it rips, or it could just be the end of it, like you said. I don't know for a fact. It was getting a little extended away from its VWAP, so seeing it come in here or start to come in here wouldn't be surprising. But until it starts losing its VWAP, I'm not going to really say, oh, this thing is done. But it has had a pretty nice move. Started hitting some older levels. Wouldn't be a bad idea to protect yourself by keeping a stop in a good position, at least above your cost, or maybe even taking some profit. But you trade how you're going to trade. TRNR trying to recapture VWAP as well. Looks like GLXG, that the China name that went down to $1, that's trying to curl back up. So we'll see if this one ends up getting any kind of momentum, but I temper expectations with that one.
Okay. Tesla came in a little bit. Apple came in a little bit. Micron came in a little bit.
Take care, Hellcat.
Take care of yourself, Hellcat. Really good stuff.
Yeah, Mike. Tariffs are just kind of the tool to bring countries to the table. I don't think a lot of these tariffs are going to stick.
Jaboni says, I just got back from the dentist. You guys are working overtime. We're filling the spot here with Anne-Marie on a much well-earned vacation. 13 and I are going to fill the spot here until we get to Palm Meeks.
Thinking about it now, this is something I haven't seen, so I'll have to do better research. But you're saying that Trump was offered zero tariffs by the European Union. I hadn't noticed that because I thought it was 25% tariffs that the European Union was going to hit back with. And I know a lot. I was saying earlier, Germany's really kind of being the loud one about this because they have the largest trade imbalance in the European Union. So I'll have to read into that because I did not know that was an offer on the table. Thanks for bringing that up. Prioritizing Pacific region allies are Republic of Korea, Japan is a clear message to China around the world. Oh yeah,
and in fact, they confirmed that, right? South Korea's president, prime minister, whatever, said that they will not band together with China. They were very clear about that.
Yeah, and you've seen that Trump's been going after China long before that even happened with the tariffs on Venezuelan oil. Anybody that uses or that buys Venezuelan oil is getting a tariff. Well, guess who the biggest buyer is? China. I mean, back before Trump was even president, Biden, strengthening ties with the Philippines. That was another strike to China because they've been trying to push the Philippines off of their different islands and shoals in the area that are actually the Philippines, and China's trying to claim them as their own.
SXTP, maybe a curl here off the 65 EMA on the 5. I've got the VWAP there at 330 if it can get back up there. It's currently dealing with 3.
Yeah, we get a little bit more momentum expansion. That could certainly come back up to at least VWAP. Navarro said yesterday that 0% isn't enough. There's a little bit of a mixed
it sure is.
take on what Navarro says is smart or not.
You've got Bessent on one hand saying one thing and Navarro on the other saying the opposite. So I think that confusion is also partly kind of what's playing into this here. Looks like Elon has chosen his side, by the way.
Yeah, it's funny, Sweet One. I watched the Oval Office, when they were taking questions, and it seems like whenever Trump's he's talking about the leader, the country whose leader's sitting right next to him, he always kind of makes like a comment like, "Oh yeah, I forgot you were there. By the way, this, and this." I think it's hilarious, but you're right. It's I don't know if he was necessarily insulting him, but he kind of goes out of his lane a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, I would say if you looked at that in a vacuum, that's one thing. The rest of that interview was very complimentary. I wouldn't take away. That's not the takeaway that I would have. By the way, Fat N is open now. 14 your high print on Fat N.
Have fun with that.
Boy, I tell you what, you want to talk about one that's spread here. My level 2 isn't even keeping up very well. Oh my God. Okay, so 1438 the high print, and look at the pull now. This thing all over the place. I'm glad I sat this one out. Here you go. You're actually looking at what some of these IPOs look like live here, especially if they're not these gigantic ones that everybody knows about. Now new highs, 1463. Look, I can't make heads or tails of this. So when I can't make heads or tails of what's going on, I generally don't trade it. Good luck to anyone here trading this. This is open and trading here. So at least it's open for more than 20 seconds, like the last couple of times.
Yeah, we got to see price action. Let's see here. I'm just kind of catching up here with Crim Biscuit asking domestic drug manufacturers. What I don't know what that's in reference to. Sorry, give you a little more context if you could, please.
Pullback coming here again on Fat N.
What you guys been doing today, long or short? Both. I've been playing the TQQQ and SQQQ to the up and down sides.
I did exactly what I told you folks I would do last night or yesterday when we were on here. I actually did it last night. I came in long SOXL. I am now all out of it.
That was a great
all
overnight.
out of this one here today. So we'll say that again.
That was a great overnight.
Oh, yeah. No, this was just exactly on the move yesterday. TQQQ was good yesterday. But yeah, I came in today long based on what we saw. We actually talked about that on Happy Hour as well. That worked, and I'm just kind of waiting for another setup here. Oh, yeah. The other thing that I did yesterday, I added to Starwood, STWD. We've talked about that being a really good dividend play. I did add to some of this yesterday as well.
Yeah, Robert, these are, we're going to probably see a lot of this. We're just kind of playing on this relief, this little bit of relief in the market because it was so oversold. But yeah, I think both Ryan and I believe we're headed lower.
Yeah, look, I say it all the time. We're going to play the hand the market dealt us. Yesterday, the market, it felt different, right? It felt like the market really wanted to bounce. So that's the hand that we played. We'll reassess here today. Okay, really good stuff here, folks. We are out of time here for today. Remember, double dose tomorrow. We're going to have Tim Melvin in the morning, Matt Malley also shortly after the open. So be sure to join us. 13, any closing words to the group?
Yeah, Crim Biscuit, I'll have to get back to your question a little bit more, but I guess, yeah, it might kind of give you the answer. Yeah, they do kind of own drug manufacturing in China, but that's one of the things Trump's trying to bring back as well. Folks, what a fun day we had here within the markets. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. We're going to play this like the pros that we are. We're going to go long. We're going to go short. We're going to give what the market. We're going to take what the market gives us, say thank you, and then have another good day. Until then, I will see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you, 13. Take care. We will see you later today. I'm going to send you over to Paul Meeks right now. Sit tight, folks. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great